Should we start by the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, great. Let's bring the Acton Rec meeting 29th January to order. I'd like to start with the first item on the agenda, which is just the attendance. So kind of just roll call it from left to right the way around so we get it recorded.
Elise Miller, Selectman.
Brian Avery. Cushman Phillips.
Lori Clark.
Lisa Long.
John Botel. Chris Whitman.
Bridget Whitman.
Carol Comas-Abumwe.
Perfect, thank you so much. Moving right along. Second item on the agenda is the minutes of the last meeting, which Bridget forwarded to us in an email on January 7th. No, it was from January 7th, sorry. It was on 28th, so yesterday. So I don't know whether everybody's had a chance to read through them. Unfortunately, I was absent from this meeting due to a serious case of man flu. So I can't comment to how accurate they are, so if everybody else can.
I have looked at them and I would move to accept the minutes as written.
I second it.
Okay. And can we then vote to make sure we accept the minutes as written? All those in favour? Motion carried. Okay, item 3 is just a very quick statement regarding the length of this meeting. Jen covered a lot of it before anyway. I know we all want to get these meetings done as fast as humanly possible. Unfortunately, due to the misunderstanding with the Freedom of Information Act, we didn't manage to get the budget group together to pre-do the budget. So unfortunately, this meeting is going to probably run a little longer, so I hope that you can bear with us. I'm going to try to keep things moving as fast as possible. So if I do cut you short in any of your comments, it's not because I don't like you, it's not because I'm taking sides, it's just because I want to get us all out of here quickly and get the budget sorted, which is the important thing to get done right now. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say there on that. And number 4 on the agenda, Carol had asked me to add committee operation to the agenda,
And-
but Jen may have
Yeah,
covered
she
that.
covered what I wanted her to cover.
Okay, perfect. See how quick we can get through this. Okay, number 5 on the agenda is the treasurer's report.
So I just got updated reports from Michelle, and once we take our commitments into account, there were some things that got paid out of our budget that we didn't really realize were coming out of our budget, such as the signs, I believe at the last rec committee meeting, and unfortunately, I tried to look back at the video, but there was some audio problems when I looked on YouTube, so I couldn't quite get but we, as a committee, in the minutes, it says that the signs were donated. The skate at your own risk, and they weren't. We paid for them out of our budget, and they were about $300 for those signs that none of us knew about.
Okay.
So another thing that came out of our budget that none of us really realized is that when we were told that the road commissioners, because the rec field is town property, it's no different than them plowing the fire station or any other town-owned property, and that we weren't going to be charged. However, we were charged a little over $300 for the initial. Scott had to take a loader to open it up because it hadn't been plowed for the first part of the winter, and so it was too whatever to just go in and plow it. They had to use a loader to open it up, and it was 3 hours labor and 3 hours of equipment that got charged to our account. So what?
That's a one-off charge.
That's a one-time charge.
Do we know why we had to pay that amount? I mean,
I don't know.
Does the town pay that,
Honestly,
like, here or
I got these.
at the salt shed or anything like that when they use a loader? Does that come out of the town hall budget?
To be fair, the reason it wasn't plowed is
Do
because they
they-
made a mistake and didn't plow it.
I'm sorry?
Comes out of the roads budget.
So how
What
come
about
it
when they do
didn't
the
come out
fire
of the roads
department?
budget for this? How come we had to pay for that?
Well, I don't know, because you guys have your own, lawn mowing. The lawn mowing comes out of your line. So I'm assuming that one time big expense, maybe?
But the reason it needed that was because they made a mistake and didn't plow when they should have. They were informed that they should have plowed it, and they didn't for 2 storms, which is why it was the big
Oh, I
expense.
didn't know they,
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be nice if we could look into that and find out why that happened.
Yeah,
Because,
and in all fairness, you know, I ask, before we have a meeting, I always shoot Michelle an email and say, you know, has there been any transactions in the rec budget in the last month since our last meeting? And she shoots me an updated report, and that's how I found out about it, and it was yesterday, and I always ask her questions, like, what's this, what's that? And she replied back, and, you know, she says, this is all I know, what was submitted to me for payment. If you have questions, direct it to the selectmen. You know, so I only know, like, that one line explanation, you know,
I
and
think it would be
Michelle
ex-
doesn't,
And I think it would be
does what
acceptable
she's told.
if we, you know, if we hadn't informed them till after 3 feet of snow. that we needed
Yeah.
plowing.
during,
November.
it was, no, so these, hold on one second, please.
No, it was right after the.
I have the date, the payroll date, just give me 1 second, please. December 13th, December 13th was the date. The payroll date was December 13th. So there were those couple of things, so that was like, total between the two was like almost, it was like 6 something, you know, between the two things. So instead of having, you know, what we thought we had around 5,000, it's really, after those things and the purchases that we approved for the rink, we're at a balance of $4,000 right now. When you take into account the balance of the mowing contract of the $1,350 and the encumbered last 2 quarters of the director's salary, which is $1,000. So once you deduct those encumbered expenses and all of the, you know, to date, we have $4,000 available. And I just want to point out to everybody that last year's budget, we budgeted, and not me because I wasn't here, but the rec committee budgeted $29.50 for baseball because that committee knew that we were lacking equipment in a serious way. So of that $4,000, $2,950 was budgeted for baseball. So we have about $1,000. However, the registration revenue is almost $1,000. So you got to remember that, yeah, we're going to get down to like $1,000, but then we'll have another $1,000 coming in, and we really don't have any significant expenses for the balance of the year, barring like a tree doesn't fall on the dugout or something like that. And actually, that's a capital improvement. So that's the treasurer's report.
Okay, perfect. Thank
The
you.
only other piece of that I would like to know, because of the information that Jen just gave us, is this committee, we elected Lisa as the baseball liaison last meeting, is this committee going to authorize her to spend that $2,950 on the equipment and that we need for baseball, or are we going, because she needs to get her order placed to start her clinics?
Sure. If we could keep that for item 8 on the agenda. and
Oh,
we
I'm
could-
sorry, I
we
didn't see
could,
it there. Okay.
We can discuss it and vote for it.
All right.
I've not had a chance to have a look at the
Okay.
costings of that anyway. But thanks for that, Carol. Item number 6 on the agenda is the ice rink update. I think the situation with the crates has been gone through. I'm happy to discuss it, but I think, to be honest, it's fairly redundant. From what I saw from it and what I mentioned on Facebook, it was my opinion that it was that exactly what Jen said should have happened, but it was one of those things. The minutes didn't get passed around, so it just didn't get actioned. It wasn't, as far as I'm concerned, any malice on anybody's behalf. I don't care if we have them or if we don't have them, to be quite honest.
I make a motion that we rescind our vote on the crates and buy nothing.
Well, in all honesty, that would be, as far as I can see, if we provide something, we're liable for it. If we don't provide anything, then it's up to the skate at your own risk anyway. So I think that the parents should make their own decisions on what the kids are doing there. And that would be my thought as well.
I would second Carol's motion to rescind the vote.
Let's take a vote on it. All those in favor of not purchasing any kind of devices for the ice skating rink? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. Next item was the porta potty. Unfortunately, another one of those things we're learning as we go with the ice rink. Didn't get ordered. Didn't seem to be a huge problem on Saturday, but Chris, I believe he said it should be delivered this week.
Yeah, roughly Thursday due to the storm tonight.
Yep.
Plowing tomorrow possibly, so.
So Thursday, Friday, we should be in good space.
Can I just add that that is something that was brought to our attention Saturday when we were there, is that, you know, and it's learn as you go, but that is a law, so to speak, that if you have a public park or a public gathering, there has to be a bathroom facility, you know,
I
so.
think that's code anyway.
That's what I think, yeah, so I'm wondering if we might come to the point where we're gonna have to leave it there until we get a bathroom.
Okay, well, it's there now, or rather it will be there by the end of the week, so we should be all legal and good there. Okay, ice rink, and this is probably a little bit early because we don't know how the ice rink's going to go. Saturday was great, had a lot of turnout, and this is the first year we just don't know if it's going to be the success we want it to be. What I'd like to be able to do is expand reach, if it looks like it's still going to be popular, to letting people in Shapley, Newfield, Milton, Sanford, and just letting more people know about it, because obviously it's kind of stuck within the community right now. And
I've
whether
had
you think
friends
that's
from-
going to be too many people, if they all showed up, I don't know.
Well, I've had friends from Sanford ask where it is, so it's already reaching that far.
Okay. And we've got flyers going home in the bags this week.
Yeah, I talked with Carol about helping me make up some flyers. We were going to try and get them all in color, but that costs money through Jen.
Okay.
So me and Carol are working on that. So it'll either be black or white, or they will be in
I was
color.
having some technical difficulties yesterday and today with the color printer, but I'm
Yeah.
working on it.
All right, perfect. Maybe we could also have a word with the people at the Trading Post. Get something up on their notice board. And
I can put one at the Milton Post Office.
yeah, and then let's see how we go and take it week by week. And if it starts getting too busy, then maybe bring it in, because we want to have room to be the kids safely skating before we advertise it all over the place. And in terms of the future, this is reserved for kind of moving towards the budget, but if it continues to be very popular, I'd like to suggest that we look at expanding it for next year. Only if it does. If we decide at the end of February that it's been a flat, not a great success, obviously we're not going to spend any more money on it. But if it does prove to be popular, I'd like to talk about adding that as as an item in the budget, as a contingency plan.
While we're talking about the future and the ice rink, I don't know how you guys maintain the rink at all, so forgive me if I've overstepped. But a friend of mine, excuse me, at work, said that this is what her significant other does for a living, is maintains outdoor ice rinks. And I guess he is willing to offer us some ideas of things that we could do on our own to kind of keep it smooth and flat and not have an actual Zamboni there. So
Great.
I
Yeah,
can bring that to hopefully the next meeting, if she gets me that information in time.
Yeah, I mean, all the help we can get, really, because we're learning as we go. And it's I was out there today because there was like a blemish on the edge. I don't know, maybe a toe of a skate had gone in, but it formed a crack across the middle, which looked a bit of a hazard. And I filled that today. I didn't have enough water with me to do the whole rink, but I got about half of it done, so it should be good for shoveling it after the storm tomorrow anyway. Ideally, and again, it's something we can talk about in the budget, and I have no clue how much those even cost. I think it'd be great to be able to get some kind of standpipe at the rec anyway, just for water for the kids anyway during the summer, but it would make the whole ice
When we
rink
get to the budget, we'll talk about that.
What is it? Some kind of what?
standpipe.
Well pipe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
pipe.
hose bib.
Like putting
You
in a
don't call
well.
them a
Okay.
standpipe?
Well, or I can talk about it now if
Maybe
you'd like.
you do, and I just don't know.
That's what you call
Well,
it.
you'd have to have a well, and then you gotta have a well or something that's not gonna freeze solid.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah. And I don't know, I don't know what we would need.
Before we do more further with that, I just want to bring, but we should probably advertise a lot with the shoveling after every snowstorm, because the town and the community really loved it this Saturday. So anytime there is a snowstorm, I'll always advertise it, like just, we're always looking for help. We have some nice shovels. I can advertise the time that we're all going down there, just to help John out, because we really appreciate John for help shoveling, and, you know, he put a lot of work into this, so thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you so much, because I just shoveled through the snowbank in front of the concession stand like a little path, and I'm like, God bless him, because that was a lot of work.
It's not too bad once you keep on Solvay. It's just when,
Yeah.
when I was sick and I missed that storm, it almost killed me because it was like just concrete. Anyway, let's move right along because we need to get to the budget. So, item number 8, the basketball. Over to you, Lisa. Basketball, baseball, sorry.
Oh, I realized you were saying the wrong word. So I have a quote from Collins Sports Center in Rochester for everything that would be considered a necessity for baseball this year. And that quote came to $2,964.47. And so that's like
It's only $14 over.
$14 over what we had budgeted, and I swear I will pay for that $14 if it's a problem. I just want to get this ordered. So, and I did price it out through Amazon, just so that I could say I had 2 quotes. I tried getting 3, but the other people didn't get back to me. Amazon came in at $2,940 something, so it was really like $20, and my personal opinion would be that it would be best to just spend the extra $20, go through these people. They're real-life people, they're right in Rochester. If there's ever a problem, it's a real person that I can go to, or whoever can go to, and we're forming a relationship, and he treated me really well with this quote, and I would like to think that moving forward, he might be willing to treat us maybe even a little better with quotes on other sports. So I can pass this around if anybody wants to see it.
Sure, interesting to see.
Is that equipment alone, or is that uniforms? and
It's
equipment,
not
just
uniforms.
equipment? And then
It's just equipment.
does that include enough for, we had talked about bags for each coach?
Yep.
And how do we plan that with how many teams we're gonna have?
So I forecasted 2 T-ball teams, 2 junior level teams, a senior level team, which we haven't had, but I'm hoping for, and a softball team.
And that includes all the helmets?
Everything,
enough helmets for
everything.
I
each,
mean, we had a good idea.
It's 5
of
helmets
what
for
we
every
needed.
team.
And then different
I-
sizes for the younger kids?
5 or 6 bats for every team. It's everything,
So it basically replaces the whole.
everything.
Yeah, everything's
We
gone.
needed, we were in dire
No, it got
straits.
all mousy.
There really wasn't
Literally
much
everything.
left.
Sorry, you guys are starting from scratch with baseball equipment?
Yes.
It all got mouse damaged in the shed, so we couldn't use it. It was covered in mouse urine.
I think we have
It
one
was-
catcher's
It was
set,
like
well,
mouse chewed, mouse peed on, pooped on. It was not fit for,
And I think we said that we're keeping it all in. We got the totes
Yes,
right.
so
all
what we
full totes.
did when we did our cleanup day is we did 2 phases. We did one in the fall up at the shed, and then we did one in the beginning of January in the gym. We went through everything. Nothing now is stored in the shed up at the rec field other than field maintenance supplies, no equipment, so to speak. It's all in the gym, and then even in the gym, we were getting rodent damage. So we purchased the Brute totes, the really heavy-duty totes, and we're like the stuff we did save got cleaned and stored properly.
Is there something on there, Chris, that you think
Well-
we already had?
Yeah, the softball catcher's equipment we already actually have, and was updated last. So,
so that could come off there. I'm not sure off the top of my head how much that would
How
take
much?
down, but it would definitely bring me down at
Under the
least
$14.
$20.
Softball.
Before you take that off, maybe you should look at it, because
Okay.
it could be for baseball instead of the softball
Okay.
girls. 'Cause I think I ordered it on, I mean, I don't know if there's 2 different, but I think there is
Okay,
for women and boys.
absolutely.
So we could talk about that.
Well, I mean, should we? I don't know enough about baseball or baseball equipment to be able to make a educated comment, but it certainly seems like Lisa does. So, I would move that we approve Lisa's request for spending the rest of that budget and even the $14 above if necessary. If I could get a second for that?
A second.
What happens if we don't have the money at the end of the year in the budget if we go over, not necessarily the $14 for this, but just in general?
We wouldn't ever go over where we would go like to a negative below the zero. That would never happen because it's not allowed to happen. We would have to go to the town meeting and ask them to take some money out of like our capital improvement
That's
fund
what I said,
to
100%
cover
budget.
our overage. But, you know, I know that Chris has looked, as, you know, the one that's ultimately responsible for our budget, and I don't want to speak for him, but I did have a conversation with him, and he has looked at previous years, this year's, and we have paid for 90% other than baseball. I mean, all our other sports are done. You know, we're not doing our coaches awards through the rec department this time. You know, there's really isn't anything left to purchase this year.
And there's no real sports until after June anyway.
That's
when-
right. Provided, you know, we've said, I think as a committee, we all agreed that we weren't going to spend any more money on the ice rink this year. You know, so I can't see anything as the treasurer, and I know Chris doesn't see anything, you know, so I think we are going to have, it might not be a lot left, but we might have $1,000 or something like that left. And just so you know, whatever we have left rolls over into our capital improvement fund for big projects that we do, like the lights, the electricity that we did.
Did ice rink come out of that too?
Yes. No. No, only because we took it out of our operating budget, because number one, we had more money than we needed in the operating budget, and we kind of, this committee was of the opinion that the capital improvement expenditures should be voted on by the town meeting unless it was some emergency thing or
I think the
something.
other thing is, because it's not a real fixture, in terms of.
Permanency,
Yeah,
yeah.
of permanency. And if it had been a huge failure, it would have been very easy to maybe just move it on.
Sell it to someone else.
Yeah. Whereas if it had been out of the capital fund, it would have been a lot more complicated. So I think I got a second right on the accepting this. So if we can make a vote, all those in favor of accepting to spend the rest of this budget, and if required, the $14 over,
You guys want to look at
say
that
aye.
first?
Okay, that's unanimously carried. Terrific.
And I just will say that after looking at the softball catcher's gear, if I can take it out, I will take it out and just not.
You pass
It
that
looks
this
like it
way?
would shave about
Yeah, sure.
$100
You pass
off
that
Yeah,
that way.
that,
perfect.
so-
Great. Just so I am aware, what's the, so we haven't got, obviously, that's just the equipment, not uniforms. Are we in need of uniforms? I'm thinking further forward in advance, maybe for next year.
So on my budget that I put together for the baseball program for next year.
Oh, perfect. Well, why don't we move straight on to that anyway?
Is that
It's
okay?
it's the next
Sorry.
item on the agenda anyway, so it's item 7.
That is, that has uniforms on it, and it's a bigger budget than this year.
Okay. Do you want us, we've got to get into it and work through
Yeah,
this.
here.
So
I'm ready.
Cost
I don't know.
for next year, you're operating if you were to continue baseball.
So
yeah, let's do it sport by sport.
I have a large budget for next year for baseball, because I have some things on there that I, as the baseball liaison, would like to see our town invest in. One of which is uniforms, which is about $2,400. They're about $30 for each kid for the pants and shirts, and $10-ish for hats and socks. Hats and socks would be replaced every year. We don't want those back. The pants and jerseys, however, I have been told are good for at least 5 years.
Yes, I spoke to Shapley Rec and Limerick. I've mixed Limerick and Newfield up, and I apologize, I can't remember which one it was. But I spoke to both of those towns, and they have a revolving thing, no uniform is over 5 years old. So they, you know, they might purchase for this age level this year, this age, you know,
And
so
I-
that
I
it's
know
not a
that's how
hit
the
all at
school
once.
does it. I
Yeah.
know that's how the school does it. That's kind of where I came up with the idea. So I based my numbers on saying I had 6 teams of 10 kids. I don't know that I'll have that many, and I may have more. I highly doubt that I would have more than 60 kids. But, and I, of course, rounded up a little bit. It's probably more like $24.95 or something, but for budgeting purposes, I rounded up. So for uniforms for next year, I've put in my proposed budget, $2,400.
Is it
Then,
all new?
it's all brand new.
So we're gonna start new.
Can I have that when you're done,
From this point on
so-
for everything?
So
all
this
uniforms?
year, this coming baseball season, we're gonna use what we have. There's just not enough room in the budget for me to order. I would like to, but
So
it's just not gonna happen.
2020.
2019 to 2020.
So our fiscal year, Brian, runs July 1st to June
No, I mean, the
30th.
uniforms will be for 2020, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because we're going to be using these ones this year.
Right.
We're not going to buy
Right,
midstream, so.
Yeah. So that is my
Yeah,
uniform
'cause that
budget.
all comes out,
This,
so
so
much
much for
me.
2019.
right?
So my proposed budget, all of what I'm getting ready to go over is for my proposed budget to go in to the selectmen for February 1st to get voted on at the next town meeting.
It's actually not that
I
bad.
have an equipment section, just trying to keep up on some things, buy a bucket of balls for every team every year until we don't need to anymore. That way it's not a huge cost like it is this time. I figure one helmet per team every year until we have a nice little kitty of them, and then we don't have to do that anymore, or we need to start phasing old ones out. What else do I have on here? I have a batting cage. I would like to put at the rec fields a batting cage. It's approximately 20 feet long. It's netting. It would go up, when good weather comes and come down when bad weather comes. They say you can leave them out year-round. I don't see the benefit in doing that. I would worry they would just rot. And I also put in for a pitching machine that we could use at practices and in the batting cage. And then a lot of little training kits, like strength training batting kit. It's small balls and a small bat, and it teaches the kids hand-eye coordination. What else do I have on here? And a pitching screen, which is meant for in the batting cages. You stand behind it, so if a kid hits a ball and the coach doesn't get beat up. So my equipment budget comes to $1,740.75.
Say that again, please.
$1,740.75. And then I have field maintenance, for the baseball portion of the field maintenance, it would be the porta potty that we have to have for every sport. And from what I understand, that's been running us about $210.
Yes, when I looked at soccer, it was 3 payments of $70. So I'm assuming that the baseball season and the soccer season are comparable, so I think for budgeting purposes, that's fair.
And then we would need to purchase a lime spreader for the lines. We don't have one of those. We have one of the, like paint cans on wheels, but we don't have the lime one for the baseball fields. So that comes to $290 for those two things. And then just a general supply thing, kind of like things that we'll have to do every year. I have ice packs on there. I found them for $45 a case, and there was like 60 in a case or something like that.
We need those.
Yeah,
Well, and something like that lasts for, some of that stuff can last a year or two or more, or
right. If we use it, then we budgeted for it. If not, then we can pass it on to the next program.
We went through a case of ice packs during basketball season.
Okay.
Have enough.
And then the lime, to actually line the fields, I found it for like $6 or something like that a bag. I think I can find it cheaper, so I put in $8 each, figuring if I go, over one bag, then fine. $53 for supplies. And then the awards portion, the medals, I roughly based that on basketball and said $300 for the medals for the kids, assuming I had 60 kids, and I got roughly the same price, and about $50 to spend on the ceremony for, the cake or paper plates or whatever. So that would be $350, for a grand total of $4,833.75.
I think the first thing that I want to say before we start discussing it is when I've looked at the last prior year's budgets, baseball has always been the most expensive. They have the most equipment. So we have to keep that in mind. I have basketball and soccer in front of me, and I can promise you it won't be $4,000.
I
So.
could have made it bigger. I could have kept going.
I know. We've had a lot of conversations about, what do we need versus what do we want. I think that the kids in this town, we only traditionally have one practice a week for our rec sports, and the benefit of having batting cages here versus the parents, a lot of parents don't do it, but, some of us take our kids to Somersworth or to Lebanon or South Sanford to use batting cages and pay, but a lot of kids don't get that benefit. I think that the benefit for having a batting cage up at the rec field for the skill and the outside of practice time that some of our kids are going to get on batting is quite beneficial.
Well, to be honest, baseball seems to be, heads all over the place. It's the most popular sport we run, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm not being brand new to this and not knowing anything about how to do a budget. What happens if we bring it to the selectmen and then they don't approve the amount of money we're asking for?
So I think we bring this to the town meeting, correct?
The process is that we turn this into the Board of Selectmen, and as long as we haven't had like our overall budget raised from taxes last year, hold on, I might be able to come up with a number, was like 15, I think, or $16,000. Our beginning, $16,363 is what was approved at town meeting for our regular operating of this department all year long. The Board of Selectmen typically look for no increase or 2%,
said like
under
2 or
2
3, yeah.
2 to 3% increase is a reasonable increase, especially when you look at a year ago what this rec department offered to now. We have really grown, and I think that it would be a responsible thing for this committee to try to have a 0% increase. So we need to look at what we're spending 3+ this year, because I know that equipment that we just voted for Lisa to order did not include metals, so we're still going to have to buy metals.
Sorry.
But either way, that's $300. But I think that as long as we're responsible and present an overall budget, to the selectmen that has a 0% or a 2%, no more than 2% increase, then the selectmen probably aren't going to beat us up too bad. I think that is something that we as a committee could really defend with the growth that we've experienced in the last year. And then the selectmen present it to the Warrant and Finance Committee for their recommendation. They make a recommendation to the board, and then it goes on to the town meeting floor. And the town meeting will vote. And, here, it really, unless we said we want $50,000, and last year we had 16, that's absurd.
Part of the-
But if we asked for 20 and we had 16 last year, or even if we had a 0, me personally being a numbers person and being on the Warrant and Finance Committee, I would love to be able to offer a 0% increase from, this year to next. That's obviously up to the committee. But I think that's a responsible thing to do for the taxpayers. But it is a balance, because we provide one heck of a service for our kids.
Well,
So,
ultimately, we all end up paying for it.
yeah, we all end up paying for it.
And the other thing is, I didn't include my projected revenue
That's right.
on that. So I think $20 times 60, I mean,
And
some
that's-
of that could go towards some
And
of
that's
this.
the other
if we
thing, with the
needed it to.
improvements we make, you're much more likely to get increased revenues from the extra people coming in. So it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. It swings, one swings one way, you get more revenues the other. So yes, we are spending, but we'll probably get more in from the improvements we make.
Now, what are we doing? Are we voting on each sport separately? Like, we want to put this in our budget, and then we'll look at what the total package is?
What'd you say, Chris? You got a
I-
question for Lisa?
Yeah.
I guess my question is
Chris is-
if I'm sorry, Chris, if we're gonna get all new uniforms for each sport, are we gonna go way up, way
We're not
above?
putting all new uniforms for the other
I
sports.
think it's going to be difficult to vote for each sport individually until we
Right.
see it around it.
All right.
Because otherwise, we just don't know what the budget's going
All
to
right,
do.
so what was the total for baseball,
480.
4,833.75.
I think I have, here, Carol, you can have this if you want it.
I'm just going to keep a running tally.
They call it like an infield mix for the dirt, for the ball field eventually.
Do I need that for next year?
Possible. I don't know, because Andy Brazier and I, and we do the upkeep of it during the baseball season. But we are getting a lot of weeds in there, so you have to kind of see the future on that.
Okay.
I don't know how much that costs.
That could also be put in our field maintenance
maintenance,
instead of the
yeah.
direct sport cost. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that could go in field maintenance, it's the field.
Like filling the divots and
Yeah.
stuff like that?
I
There's
can-
a certain field mix that you put in so you don't get a lot of weeds coming back up.
Yeah.
Cover up
I
all
can
that
find a
clay.
price on that,
Okay.
and I don't have,
Yeah, 'cause right
and
now
I don't
it's
have a
all
guess.
I don't know if you
on
can
that.
contact Levike Excavation, see what they say. I know they might have some kicking around.
Okay.
It used to be a really nice field.
Okay, so that's,
Simpson, anybody that
that's
sells
baseball.
aggregate.
Next in line will be soccer.
Okay, so soccer, we, let's see. All right, so for the uniforms, I think that the biggest need for, when we looked at the inventory of the soccer uniforms was the larger kid sizes. You
Yes.
know, they were either in adult shirts that were hanging off them, or they were in too tight of shirts. And even like the team of like Molly's age, Molly didn't have a shirt that fit her properly.
Yeah, I
you know?
think it was that group and the group that I was coaching.
Yeah.
It was potluck. If you
So
got a-
I'm figuring that's about half, you know, so I budgeted 25 new shirts. That would be for those two teams. And I price checked them on, there were like 3 different sites, and they go anywhere from $10 a shirt, but then that you have to pay to get the lettering and stuff put on it, which is kind of pricey. Or this Epic Sports, you can get them lettered, and they're like $19.97 a shirt lettered, front and back. So I just did 25 shirts for $20 a shirt, so it's $500. And then 36 new pennies. I know that there were some pennies that just needed repair. Lori had mentioned that some of them were reusable.
What did you say, 50?
What did you count?
36 new
36.
pennies, $3 each is 108. Huh?
I sewed them all.
Yeah, but I think we needed, with the fact that in moving forward into soccer and all sports, the coaches are going to have a bag for the season. So you really have to have enough pennies to put in. Every coach has their own little, 6 pennies per coach or something like that, So that's $100. And then I put a dozen, so there's 3 size soccer balls. The little kids are 3, the middle are 4, and then the older kids should use a size 5. And I did a dozen of the 3 and 4 and 2 dozen of the 5. I think we only had 4 of those. So that they're about $60 a dozen for a decent soccer ball. It's not the top of the line, but it's not the cheapest. It's like the middle of the road. I think,
They're all beat up to hell.
yeah, they're just not good. So that is 4 dozen balls basically for $6 a dozen. So that's 240. Then the ball bags, I planned on 5 teams for soccer, $5 a bag. And then we'd like to get a better quality ball pump. They have a nice pump that's $6 that blows air on the up and down movement, so it's
Alright,
just
yeah,
a lot easier. And it's $6. It's not a $50 ball pump, but it's better than the 99-cent ones that we had that fell apart so easily. So that would be, to give each coach one of those is $30. Plus, maybe everybody could get a couple packs of needles. The needles, there's 5 in a package for $1 times. If you give each coach 5 packages and 5 teams, it's $25. And then I just did like $20 for ice packs and maybe $20 for like miscellaneous first aid supplies. Seems like soccer, we use the most Band-Aids compared to like basketball. We didn't use a lot of Band-Aids. So I wanted to make sure we had enough Band-Aids. And our first aid kits did come back from basketball in pretty good repair. I mean, nobody had any ice packs in them, but some of the other stuff, I checked expiration dates. It should still be good for another year. But just in case, I want to make sure I can buy Band-Aids if we need them. And then I did $50 for the award ceremony, $300 for the medals, and $210 for the porta potty. So the total is $2,210. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot this note on the side. Goalie gloves and a goalie shirt, for each team so that they can have the goalie gloves and the goalie shirts. During this past season, one of the moms bought goalie gloves for kids, and the kids were like so excited to have those goalie gloves and be in the goalie.
So that's included in the
That's
two-
included
two
in
teams.
that. And then also one set of junior nets. So we have the big ones, we have the peewee ones, we don't have the medium-sized nets. And they do have a nice set of PVC pipe type nets for, it was PVC, right, in that book? For for the junior age, you know, the middle of the ground, those kids. And they were $400, you know, and we want to be able to next year kind of, this past year we didn't do it, and we were, with the fact that we're trying to go to following like the national soccer guidelines for youth, really we want to try to cut down that field size from, those juniors were running a full-size soccer field. We're going to cut it down a little bit this year, make it a little easier. So we need to have nets that we are more
What's the
portable.
plan there? Are we trying to get two fields out of the
Yes.
area?
Which we can, I think.
Yes, we laid it out, I think you were with us during a soccer game once, we
Yeah.
walked it. You can get, if you're going with that bigger regulation field, the smaller junior field, you know, and,
Put the Pee Wee field like on the halfway line
Yes.
of the big field,
yeah.
okay.
So, and we already have our sandbags ready to go for the things, and, you know, so we don't have that expense. It's 2,000, I think this was including that, $2,210.
Okay.
Can I ask?
I think so.
is
I'm
the
gonna double check.
classes getting bigger or smaller at the school? As I would just suggest
The
adding to
school,
6.
I know that I talked to Amanda, I called her yesterday. The school enrollment was 240, which is, it's growing. She told me that the population at the school is really growing. Like, I think 2 years ago, they were barely at 200. So I think we're going through another upswing.
I would suggest 6 instead of 5, that.
For the
co-
teams?
Teams, that's all, just in case, to have it there,
Yeah.
no?
Soccer teams are larger than baseball teams.
Yeah, there's 10 players on the soccer field at a time, baseball is 9, so.
We had 5, we had 4 that ended up turning into 5 last year. So, because they put all the first and second grade together, and then we ended up getting a couple more coaches that ended up,
2,428 for
so we ended up
soccer.
splitting the teams into 2. So we had
Last year,
5.
our soccer
If we have more
budget,
people come in,
oh, it's in
we're
here.
gonna have-
Hold on one second.
Carol, that 2,428.
2,428.
Is that upping it to
in the-
6
with the
teams?
2 in those grades.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, you want
There were
to, give me a
extra
second.
kids. So
Last
those
year, our
two
soccer budget was
That grade was the 2
1,550.
biggest grades. I'm not sure what the other grades are.
Yeah. So if we change this to 6 teams, that would add 250 to that, and 9, and,
We don't have to, it's just a suggestion.
Well, why don't we look at it, because we're not making any decisions until we
Right.
see the whole budget anyway. So if we, at least we have the option.
Both of them, yeah,
Yep.
have both prices.
See what we can squeeze out this year.
We had 5 baseball last
be
year.
$2,800.
Right, so sorry, the 2428 was for 4?
5.
5 teams.
Yeah,
And what was that?
5, and the 2,800 would accommodate 6.
2,800.
And that's buying shirts for another team, in bearing that they might be older kids.
Okay. Okay, so that's, and then I suppose basketball
Yep,
is
so
the next
basketball,
sport.
yeah. Bear with me for one sec. Okay, so for basketball, I think as a committee, I wanted to double check. We had discussed only providing a jersey, not shorts, and I just wanted to make sure that that's what the committee, you know, that is not my choice. I would prefer to give shorts. I think it looks a lot nicer if the kids are all uniform on a court. However, if that's not something that the committee wants to do,
It's not, it's nothing to keep, right? They come back?
yes,
Do you have prices for both?
yes.
Okay.
So I would like to get
Hang
50,
a second, Carol.
I just have, something we did in the past, and this is a money-saving idea, is you share shorts between soccer and
Yep,
So you don't buy separate shorts for both.
yep, and so I
We don't
was,
provide soccer shorts, though, do
we don't provide
We
soccer
haven't-
shorts.
yeah. We've never, well,
Not for years.
recently, we haven't provided bottoms for anything.
Oh, okay.
It's only been
We have
shirts.
some, but
Yeah,
they're
we
not
have some.
inventoried yet.
Basketball shared shorts. And also we asked local businesses to sponsor a team and they would pretty much pay for the shirts on baseball and soccer.
Yeah, so the problem is that if the local business sponsors and their name's on the shirt, we can't reuse the shirt. Or I guess we could, you know, but they're getting a lifetime sponsorship, I guess, if we did that, right? If
Long
their
as the
name's on the
shirt
shirt.
lasts, yeah.
If it's not a T-shirt, you know. I feel bad because I have mixed feelings about the uniforms because the year that we did T-shirts where the kids got to keep the T-shirt, those kids love those T-shirts and they still, it's like their favorite shirt, you know. You see them all the time at the school from last year's baseball. So you kind of feel that it's like but they look so nice in a real uniform too, you know, and especially when they all have matching shorts and have matching shirt, you know, and you say you have to wear a white T-shirt under it or, you know, something, you make rules.
Have you got the pricing for it with shorts?
Yeah,
as
so
well?
if, on basketball, if I get just shirts, it's $10. If I add the shorts, it's closer to 14.
Combined?
For the full uniform, shirt and shorts, you get a deal. It's not like buying them two separate pieces. So it would be $14. But I know this, when I mentioned it at a prior meeting, this committee was against that. So I just didn't want to put that in there without
Well,
getting an
why don't we
opinion.
look at it? Because, you know, I agree with you. I think ultimately, we'd like to be able to provide them with full uniforms for everything, but we can't do everything at once.
Right.
But that doesn't stop us starting somewhere and then moving through the sports as we go. So why don't we just, I mean, it's been brought up here, so why don't we just look at the prices?
Okay,
now?
so if the 50 shirts that I would like to purchase, and these would be the third and fourth graders and the fifth and sixth grade team. That would be about 50 uniforms, okay? That, if I do just shirts, it would be $500. If I do shirts and shorts, it would be $700.
Okay.
So we're gonna offer shorts to one group and not the other group?
And then as we buy new uniforms for the younger kids, then they would get the shorts. Just because that's, it's like we're offering brand-new uniforms to one group and old uniforms to another. Like, it's like this year when I handed out uniforms, it was like the draw of a straw. You know, those third and fourth graders this year, those purple uniforms were horrific that they had to use. They were really bad. But it's like by the time I got the basketball program on Thursday and it was starting on Tuesday, there was no time to order uniforms. We had to make do with what we had. But those purple uniforms they're all threadbare and the white numbers are worn off them. The stitching at the bottom, strings are hanging down.
So the 50, how many teams does that cover?
That will be the two third and fourth grade teams next year and the 1 fifth and sixth.
And honestly,
Yeah, that's going with the same group. That's the same, if everybody that played this year played next year, that's what we'll have for teams next year. We'll have,
So that's everybody then? Or
no, that's the older kids. We still got our kindergarten and our first and second. Next year, if our enrollment stayed the same, if we didn't gain any new kids, we'd have one first and second grade team.
And how many extra kids would that be then? In terms of, because it was 50 for the second, the two third and fourth, and the 1 fifth and sixth. If there was the kindergarten included in that, how many extra bodies?
You mean if we included the whole basketball
If we bought
program?
all new uniforms, I would think that next year, because you know, you can't buy the exact number that you have
No,
for
no,
kids, you're gonna have extras. So if you were gonna outfit the whole program with new uniforms, you're probably looking at 75 probably, because the other thing that I'm gonna do with basketball
An extra
next year
75?
is I'm not gonna have different, if this committee's okay with it. One of the thoughts I had for basketball, and this is basketball specific, because they have the reversible uniforms, the white and blue, or the white and red, or whatever color this committee decided on, is to buy all one-color uniforms, and if we have two of the same team playing against each other, one of them can reverse them.
It would probably
And that
be
way,
easier
it would
for
be
sizing.
easier for sizing.
why can't we
And, sorry,
do
the
basketball?
75, was that 75 total or 75 in additional?
75 total.
Okay.
So if we did 75,
75 by 14.
Separate shirts reversible.
It's like $1,000 bucks.
They might,
$1,050.
I don't know.
Can we,
Okay.
my
Gives us some
question was,
options.
can we use a soccer shirt for baseball?
Can we?
I mean, for basketball, I'm sorry.
So-
Basketball, the same uniform for basketball and
Basketball
soccer.
vests.
Basketball are sleeveless, they
Right.
hang down a lot, they're netted, they're not a solid,
There's no all-around type of thing. that you could
basketball
use for-
uniforms are a lot cooler than a soccer uniform, they're breathable, and no, we couldn't do that.
I think they would look weird.
They would, well, yes.
And it gets cold in soccer season. Towards the end, it's pretty cold.
Yeah, no.
So the only alternative is to take a step backwards and do like Limerick does and just do T-shirts.
I have a question, Lisa. So with bouncing back, and you said we might not have enough shirts for all the team, right, on basketball? Is that what you said? Is that what you're saying here? Or only for half?
Originally, you're proposing.
Oh, my original proposal was,
proposal, okay.
I was trying to phase out the uniforms, because eventually, when we do this 5-year plan with the uniforms, it'll be like, this year kindergarten teams are getting the new ones, and then next year first and second, and then this one, but because and honestly, some of our basketball uniforms aren't that bad. You know, I mean, there's some,
Baseball are actually the best out of all of them.
yeah, and I don't think she's buying any this year, are you?
Yeah, you don't have uniforms, but what about my girls?
I know.
So I was thinking, with sponsorship that way, how would it, like, we can all get sponsors for certain things and for our sports this spring, but if that's something like we really need to work towards, then maybe I can get sponsors for my girls to have a full uniform or a full,
So my thought with softball for this year, because I did think about that, we, did the T-shirts last year, and we're not doing that this year, and we've not had a softball season, softball team other than last year.
Yeah.
My thought was, we have a lot of baseball shirts, and I know it's not perfect, but they would fit, and it would be 1 year. If you want to do sponsors for your softball team, I personally would be okay with that. I don't know about the rest of the committee. But I don't believe I would have the time with what I have going on
no,
to
that's
get
fine.
sponsors.
I just think with the girls and the girls that I met last year and stuff, and like, I definitely, that would be some, and they're all girls, so I wouldn't want to push them into a uniform that might not fit them and then be upset about it,
What's the
especially at their
difference?
age. What's that?
What's the difference?
Difference with what?
But baseball and softball
Baseball and
uniforms.
softball
So,
uniforms.
I mean, technically, there is no real difference in the uniform itself. However, the fit of the uniform, and these uniforms are 15 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I know
ones that we're
our
using.
I
All
don't know
sports.
how,
They're
I
back
don't
from
know
our
how
kids.
our girls were shaped back then compared to how they are now. I guess that's the best way to say
I
it.
think,
For the school there
did the
was,
school
but
there
not
was.
through the rec.
So maybe that's why the red ones are separate, because they have, red ones, there's more boxy, flat bottom, and then there's other ones that are curved more.
Maybe they
That's-
bought the
then-
wrong one.
I would encourage the
That might be
girls on the
why.
softball team to fundraise or to get a sponsor or something, and I can't imagine anybody on this committee would be against something that didn't cost any money.
Can I,
What's the matter,
can I
Christina?
actually
They're
just,
a total different shape.
for the hats?
What about hats for baseball? Is that figured into your budget for either of you? Softball?
For this year?
Yeah.
No.
You'd be a baseball player without a baseball hat.
No, it's not.
So, that's what I was just about to say, sorry. If I look into sponsors, for T-shirts for my girls, can I also look into sponsors for supplying hats for?
Well, I think sponsoring that is a good idea anyway, because it's not something you're going to want to
Absolutely.
keep, and it is something that they could take
Yeah.
away. And we can refresh it each
Absolutely.
year.
Hats. So I can work on that since I know
That's
that
a
you're
great
busy
idea.
with
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
If everybody's okay with that, and I'll reach out to the town and people in the town, because there's always people that want to sponsor.
Finding a sponsor for the hats,
Yeah,
for baseball and
my
uniform
girls,
soft.
my girls' T-shirts, yeah.
Talking a sponsor for reusable uniforms or for uniforms that they're gonna keep?
Keep. So up until
Then
this
we have to
year,
get a
we used to get
sponsor.
yes, and up until this year, we used to do that.
Next, in my
It's the usual way it goes for sports. It's a sponsored every year.
in my next But in my proposed budget for next year, that does include softball uniforms.
Okay.
The one, it was just this one year that I was like, man, we need so much already. I don't know where else to get the money.
Well, we did the sponsors last year, and I think we also did we run into our budget a little bit with the T-shirts? Because I think, what do we get, 3 sponsors? Something like that?
Pretty sure that I was told that they paid for themselves and then some.
Did they pay for themselves and then some? Oh, yeah.
We made, I'm almost positive we made money off the shirts last year, the
Okay.
T-shirts.
So Bridget's going to work on sponsorships
So-
for the softball, baseball hats.
And shirts for my girls.
Okay,
They're
perfect.
just going to be T-shirts that they can keep, if that's okay, like they did last year.
I'm fine with
Okay.
that. I mean, do we need to vote on that, or, I mean, I don't know how this works.
Well, let's do it anyway.
Are we
Let's,
talking just for this one sport, or are we
So-
talking for all sports? Because why are we buying in?
It's
why are we
literally just,
proposing-
it's literally just for softball, because we don't have softball uniforms, because we've never had a softball team before.
But everyone seems to be going towards that, they want to do that, so why are we buying new uniforms if everyone wants to go towards that in the future? Get
Towards
sponsors
what?
and
I'm
do
sorry.
we're just going towards that because there's no money available in this year's budget for the softball team.
Carol keeps saying that the kids really like having the shirts. So if we're gonna get sponsors every year, or try to get sponsors to get shirts, we gotta go one way or the other, is all
Yeah,
I'm thinking.
I was proposing that we didn't do that. The kids like it and I'm torn.
Oh,
But I think our kids, when we're playing against other schools, look better with a real uniform on. That's just
I thought
my,
you were saying they looked
my
better with the
opinion.
shirts that we, okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
that's okay.
So let's, if
So
I can get
then-
a second
So for baseball,
There we
So
go.
it's only softball then?
Just softball.
It's softball
not
and the baseball hats for this year, because that wasn't in my budget either. So it would be softball, shirts and hats, and all of the baseball hats would be
okay, so
sponsored.
if we can put.
Hats and socks could be sponsored.
Well, if we're not
50
offering
sponsor socks,
pants,
if you don't see 'em.
if we're not offering pants,
What,
the
for baseball?
socks would be kind of
Yeah, we wouldn't
useless,
do
I think.
Oh, I suppose.
If, when you get going through some of that, with, as far as the budget goes, money-wise, gets, however we get some idea how much it's gonna cost, let me know, because I've got some friends that have some pretty good-sized companies that may be interested in doing some of that too.
I have prices. I can tell you how much hats
Well,
and
I mean, we just
t-shirts
need
will
an idea
cost.
where, when you're asking somebody, geez, we need some help, we need, looking for a sponsor for $50 or $100, or, and I know those aren't the numbers, but you know what I mean, 2,000 or.
What did we do last time? 500?
It was
400?
Gotta be people close to here.
250, I think.
250?
275.
sponsor their local
275 is what we did.
Probably.
That made him
And
more
that
than.
You can
was
get more
shirt
than one
and hat.
sponsor, you
Yeah,
can
and it made
get 3 or
more
4 different people, I suppose, too, but.
Yeah, we could
Well, yeah,
do,
'cause they used to do the
sponsor A
hats.
team for 50, sponsor the softball, she can come up with like a tier, like once we know how much hats cost for a team,
If I do get those sponsors and say with the hats and stuff like that, do I have to bring to the table, say if I wanted my girls to do like a bake sale or something to wind up, hey, let's keep going here with some shorts and some socks, so this is how we look, with the other teams that we're playing, because we're playing 6 different teams. Can I bring that to the table and if me and my girls go out and do bake sales?
I think
and
if
stuff?
it's not costing any money, I don't think there'd be anybody who would object to you doing
Yeah.
any of that.
Fundraising.
because the softball's
for
almost
the
like a
rest,
whole
if we
separate
do.
sport
it's
from
just one
baseball.
team,
It's
right?
one team, they're playing against schools, not other recs, they're playing against Rochester School,
No, they're playing up against Rochester Rec,
Rochester, okay, sorry, Rochester Rec,
the Acton School,
the Acton School,
Wakefield,
Wakefield School.
so far.
So far.
Okay.
But, they're gonna be representing us.
So as a committee, Chris already seconded doing a vote, so everybody in favour of Bridget being able to fundraise, I can't imagine there's any problems with that.
No, absolutely. I'm all for
Okay.
fundraising.
All right. Motion carried. So where did we get on the basketball?
Okay,
we kinda got
sorry,
it broken
yeah,
down to
so if
75
I
was-
did, if we say 1,050
Yeah.
for the whole, new uniforms for the whole program, and when it gets time to order, we'll kind of pull the committee about the color. I just need to adjust my total, hold on. 17, so the total would be 1,800 for basketball for the year.
1,800.
Yeah.
Based on how many numbers is that?
So that is based on buying 75 new uniforms,
Okay.
shorts and top. That's based on
So the ancillaries is about $750
I'm sorry.
above shirts and shorts, because it was
Yeah,
50.
yeah, so that's new
1,050.
balls. Yeah, buying, there's two sizes balls that we use at our, in our rec program. Kindergarten through second grade uses a 25.5. I wanted one new dozen of those because we did have some good balls in that size. And then the 26.5, which is third grade and up, we didn't have hardly any that held air consistently. So we needed more, like 3 dozen of those. So that was an expense. I mean, those basketballs were about $500 for all those balls. And that's 4 dozen balls for $500. And then ball bags and pumps for the coaches, needles. I wanted to go with 2 cases of ice packs this year instead of 1 for basketball, because I'm hoping for a few more kids. And we went through,
You're hoping for a few more
6
accidents.
first aid kits worth of ice packs plus a case. So now I got to replenish all the ice packs and the case, so. Yeah, because you told your kids to suck it up. And obviously, 20 new whistles. We got lucky this year. Linda Whitman went and got them for us at O'Keefe's, but I really would just like to get real whistles.
Yeah.
And those obviously will be an every year thing. We don't reuse
So
those.
worst case scenario, if we did, and if we could afford it for everybody, 75, we're looking at $1,800, right?
Yes.
That, well, wouldn't it be 1,050?
Just for that. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I hate to do this, but I forgot the medals. It'll be 2,100.
Okay.
No.
I got $10 for the shirts and 14 for the shorts down.
He's saying just for the shirt.
That was soccer.
Yeah, it's
You think it is
10,
soccer.
it's 14 for the shirts and shorts, right?
Yeah.
Mixed together,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you order them.
Now you got me doubting myself, and I don't have my backup with me. I'm positive that's what I saw, though. If I'm wrong, then I'll figure something out.
Okay, so that's soccer done.
Basketball?
Sorry, soccer and basketball done.
And
right?
baseball.
And baseball. So the only thing really that I had down on there, over and above that, is the ice rink.
Concession too.
Yeah.
And again, this is a contingency based on what we see in the next month or two. If it continues the way it did on Saturday, then I think it'd be a good idea. To expand it, it's currently 60 feet by 35 feet, and we can take it to 65 by 45. We have that space available there. We do need just the extra pieces, and you can't reuse the liner. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work, so it would be a new liner as well. The total cost for that is $600. That includes just everything you need to do that, and actually more than we need.
So I was thinking after being at work Saturday and missing out on the grand opening, but hearing how wonderful it was. But also hearing that the warming pit was wonderful, but it didn't throw off all that much heat. I was wondering if it would be something we could look into, getting some of those tall heaters.
All right, yeah.
Some was at the Kennybunk Rec, has a rink in Kennybunk that has them. I was talking
Oh, yeah, that's
to
right.
a lady that goes down there with her kids.
Maybe you could put them like on the outside
They have those
of
big
the-
propane
The
heaters
propane,
with
right?
a tent, some sort of a tent thing that goes over it. I don't know the
I
details.
don't know what they cost, but would that be something we could look
Cheap
into?
ones don't last. The $100 ones don't last. I had one and
Do you know how much a good one goes? I don't, I've just seen them and I'm like, oh, those are cool.
Yeah, they can go
Those are
way
big
up in
commercial
price.
heaters like they use in some of the hockey rinks that used to be chain link and things. I don't know what they cost, but the amount of propane that thing's gonna go, those things are gonna go,
Yeah.
would have to be taken in consideration.
I'm not
but
thinking of
I don't know.
anything huge. I've seen them at like restaurants that
Yeah.
have outdoor patios.
I worked
They
and
at
look
I'm
a little
like,
bit like an umbrella there, right?
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
we've
For
got-
3 hours, I
why
mean,
can't you
We have
use
one of
that?
those, but those you have to lug your gas grill bottle around, which is gonna
Fill 'em
go,
up.
which is gonna be empty in 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, God, yeah.
So
you
someone's
see
gonna
that.
lug
Quick.
propane all the
It's
time.
less
If
than
you
that.
wanna have some heaters, you'd really wanna consider having, propane at, at least 100-pound cylinders or whatever, what are the bigger ones, 500-pound cylinders.
Yeah.
You'd be a huge
Go through it
commitment for
that
someone to wanna say, I'll lug 3.5 gallons of propane for my grill every Saturday to, not that you can't do it, but those just, they're just not gonna work
things
What
Right.
well.
about
So the low
gas
one,
heaters in the,
Yeah, that's
in
like
the
what, right.
snack shack?
And those run on your gas grill bottles,
Can you
which,
go?
Have
in-
heaters and
No.
So we asked about that. We
No,
asked,
Space heat, the.
I had, when we first were talking about doing the ice rink, one of the questions that I had asked was, could we make the concession stand a warming station for the kids? And the board had responded no.
The
It's
other problem-
insurance, it's something to do with insurance, it's something to do with not having space heaters in there, and it was something about not having the general public in that building with heaters.
The other thing is that Snack Shack is so far away from.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
Ice rink.
Well,
yeah,
they
we
do-
don't even want to be in there now. We want to
I'm
be with
so
the action.
disgusted. You're so far away from the action. It's like, this was the worst place in the world to put a snack
moved
shack.
it. We moved it.
Facing
Or
the
the
wrong
shed.
way.
But you can't use it anyway.
Whoever wants to run it during a soccer game, you can't watch the soccer game. You're facing the parking lot. It's like, there was no foresight in that. You're facing a
It
parking
used to
lot.
be on the
think
other
a lot of
side
the
of the
problem
Can
with
we
the
turn it around?
parking lot,
the
wasn't
problem with
it?
the warming pit is the fact that we have to be 2 feet away from it.
I think it was across the
Well,
parking
this
lot
is the
facing
other
this way. They
thing I
kinda
was-
moved it so people wouldn't cross the
back and
parking
forth.
lot.
I'm trying to
I'm
remember,
pretty sure it was
15 years
Facing the
ago.
other way.
facing the other way, but
I
on the
only-
backside, like the wood
Yeah.
line.
I
I'm wondering if when they built the dugouts, they,
I personally only remember it being where it is, but I don't.
it's no
think
fun
it
being the
was-
person in the concession stand, that's all I'm
I
saying.
don't think there was one there when
Can I
I used to do the rec.
ask what we're talking about right now?
You were going on to the heaters.
Because I'm really like, we're off track.
Ice rink.
Bring it back to the heaters for the ice
Okay,
rink.
so the problem with the fire pit is it gives off plenty of heat. That's not the problem. Well, there's two problems. Number one is the wood that we had was wet. It needs to be dried out, so it was kind of hard to keep it going. And the second thing, which we're never going to be able to do anything about, is that the insurance company requires us to have this huge diameter safety ring around it. So you can't get close enough to the fire pit to get warm. The kids are like, you're holding them by the back of their snowsuit so they can toast their marshmallow. You know, it's a ridiculous ring around it. A little
So-
further than maybe,
Would we need to run it
don't know.
past the insurance for one of these propane, or 2 of these propane space heaters
I mean, right
outside?
now they're
If
running,
we were to ask, I mean,
Yeah, probably better to always ask.
Okay, so,
They'll probably say something because they're stands, they're not like cemented in the ground, so that might be the issue of them.
It's
You would
probably
have
always better to
maybe if you have
ask.
a mounting bracket so they can't move. If you
Well,
have
I
like a
mean, let's-
platform, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll
that
bring it
wouldn't
up with
cause an
Jen
issue.
tomorrow, but I mean, in terms of cost, they look like, what, $150
they're
each?
ranging from like 119 bucks all the way up to, you know, you can get the elaborate one for 1,700.
so could we,
So
could we,
basically
I don't know.
115 to $174.
I think that if we were going to try and move forward with them, we would, because, I mean, Lori and CW
Heat
just
still.
said that they wouldn't, the $100 ones wouldn't last. So go for the middle of the road,
Well, I mean, if we,
right?
okay, if we,
Am I wrong?
I just don't know enough about them to make a call, but if a $100 one isn't gonna last, well, I mean, how long does it not have to last for? Does it not have to last for 1 season, 2
I'm not
seasons?
comfortable voting on this because I'm not making that mistake again. I need information. Like, I don't know enough about it to vote one way or the
Okay.
other.
Yeah.
So it's like, just look into the heaters then, should we add it for the expense?
I think the more important thing would actually be getting skates.
I think so, you're right. I
Because
think you're right.
I think I've seen at least 3 or 4, 5 people asking if we're renting skates, and we just
I
don't-
got stopped 3 times in Hannaford by people from Acton when I was trying to get my groceries on Sunday, saying, when are you guys getting skates so my kids can go?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
So, we can.
Trying, I'm
we
looking
can get
for
the adjustable
donations.
ones and put them in the budget. And they range, depending on the size, anywhere really from, I think, about $35 to $45
for the adjustables?
for the adjustables, which would give us, I think, a range of about 8 sizes.
What do they make the old fashioned roller skates?
Yeah, they kind of have a clip that you can pull, and they just
Yeah.
slide to get
And they
bigger.
will put them, attach them to their boots.
So.
I really think, John and I had talked about that, I really think that's the way to go. I mean, because it's gonna be really hard to have 3 pairs of size 1 and 3 pairs of size 2, and, you know, whereas
It
if
would-
you
it would
have
give us-
3 pairs that can go from 1 to 5, that would be huge, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if we could get hold of 5 pairs that would, or even.
10.
Might we
Yeah,
get
5
10?
pairs of each,
Yeah.
of each of those adjustable sizes, that would give us a lot.
Yeah.
So that would be, let's average it and say $40 each. So that'll be $200 on skates. And now I know this can't be done. At least I don't think it can be done. But as I said, it would be great if we could get a well in there at some point,
So,
looking to the future.
I got a price for that. I talked to, one of the things Chris and I were talking about, field maintenance, last fall, and then this, when we were up there Saturday for the ice rink, we're like, oh, it'd be nice for this or that, or, just kind of dreaming. And I said, well, we should gather prices and talk about it. So, I only got one price. Obviously, if we were gonna move forward, it would go out to bid, but this was just a ballpark for budgetary purposes, and this includes the well and the pump. He said that he could winterize it in a way that we could use it in the winter, without worrying about it freezing. I don't think that was a big deal, to do that for us. The only thing that wasn't included was digging the excavation of the trench with a mini excavator or burying it, which
Right.
I don't think anybody ever includes that. And so one of the things that we talked about is that we have 2 people that already said that they would volunteer to do that for us for free. So the price was $4,000. And that would be for soccer, for baseball, having water up there.
Yeah, so that would
for the
really go
concession
into the-
stand, for the ice rink. I mean, we're moving forward. We want to be able to eventually, our field is in very ill repair, and it's just going to get worse every year. So we eventually will probably move towards irrigation up there. That's like a long-term goal for us,
So
like
is
they
that
have at the
something
school.
that would come out of the capital investment fund?
That is something that I think would be a separate article. It's a capital improvement to the field. I did get an account balance on the capital improvement fund from Michelle. Bear with me, so many pages that didn't make it into the file yet.
Is the,
It's 46,000, I think, is what we have available to us in the capital improvement. That's, we still, so we got 13 something for the lights and the flagpole, right? We still have to put a light pole and a light up, but we've only spent like 4,000 or 5,000 of the money that we already withdrew from the capital improvement. What we don't spend goes back. It's not like it carries over into our regular budget. It goes back into the capital improvement. So we have 40, I would say at the end of the year, when everything's said and done, we probably have between 46 and 48 in the capital improvement fund. So if we did a special warrant article just for the water, $4,000 out of there, we'd still be okay. Where we're not depleting it and we're moving in the right
Okay,
direction.
well, that's pretty much everything I had.
Okay.
The rink, it would be lovely if we could, but we've already talked about lights, and that's kind of part of what you just discussed there anyway. If we could have that eliminated,
parking lot
it would
light.
allow us longer hours.
Yeah.
Not that maybe.
People were still there on Saturday. I left at 4, and there were still people skating, and I'm like, starting to get a little dark. I gotta go. I've been here for 5 hours and frozen.
question, is the ice rink, or other sports with registrations and generate some of their own monies, is the ice rink always gonna be just open in the town, everyone just pays for, is this just
I-
free forever, or is this ever?
Well,
gonna
I think that it is always going to be free, and I think it falls under, and Elise, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it kind of falls under a different category than a sports, because it's almost like a park type thing, like the Mary Grant, it's open 24/7. There's no program, so to speak. The only way we could generate income is when we purchase the skates, maybe doing a skate
Yeah,
rental
maybe-
out of
maybe
the
in the
concession
future-
stand.
Maybe in the future, like you mentioned, parks, a lot of those parks are, people have, not, what's the word, fundraisers or donations and
Yeah,
sponsors.
we've been,
Sort of, to a lot of these parks that help pay for some of this stuff, because, I mean,
I did talk to Bridget on Saturday. We're really gonna work together.
I don't mean now in the immediate,
separate
but
from
in
the
in the
sport.
future, maybe it's something to consider, because you can spend an awful lot of money on the things you
Absolutely.
want to do for something that's going to generate nothing without some outside help.
Yep. So Bridget and I talked
Sounds
about
like
it,
that, too.
when we were up there, just in conversation, like separate from this rec committee, her and I kind of want to make a boosters thing for different things, whether it be for the softball team or the ice rink. I don't know what you'd call it. It wouldn't really be a boosters, well, maybe it would be. I don't know, Friends of the Ice Rink. I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
like to form something separate from this committee to just generate like fundraising for these things that,
Right, the-
you know, we have big plans and big, you know, if,
Complete
I'm telling you, anybody that was there on Saturday, you wouldn't have believed the things that you saw go on up there. You know, I mean, my nephew is autistic. He doesn't go outside ever in the winter. He does not interact with other children ever. He's autistic and he's blind. And that kid was playing with other children and
great.
skated on that rink for over 2 hours. I have never in his life seen that.
He
Like
went back the
that.
next day.
And then he went back the next day when we weren't open, just to skate some more. It's all he can talk about. You know, things like that, it's like, this is incredible. This is an opportunity, you know? And just seeing, I don't mean to get off topic, but it was just, it was very rewarding, you know, and
Definitely.
to see it. Yeah, yeah, it was really
I think
awesome.
it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be difficult to ever quantify its value.
Hmm.
Well, it's never going to have a value in terms of monetary value.
Yeah.
It's the value in the community is.
But the
is what it
community seems really supportive of it, more so than our regular sports programs, and I think that we'll be able to fundraise for it quite easily. I really think that, you know, Bridget and I are gonna work really hard for that, because it's something we're very passionate about, providing for the kids in this community, you know, that don't have that opportunity in their everyday life to go skating.
What is there anything else that we need to talk about in the budget? I'm sure there is. There's just general maintenance.
Yeah, field maintenance. So Chris, that's kind of his thing, and, but we did go through it over the phone just to come up with an idea of what the heck we're gonna put forward. And some of the things that, if I could find my notes, some of the things that we had talked about was the well.
Yeah.
What was the other thing that we talked about on the phone?
Try to get a price from,
Oh, seal coating the basketball court. It's very cracked and the asphalt's starting to, I don't know the word, degrade maybe. And that would be about $400. The other thing is that, we need about 10 yards of fill just to, at the very least, to fill those dips in the soccer field, so that kids don't break their ankle. You know, it's not level, and there's a couple of really good-sized ones. So 10 yards of loom would be about roughly $300. And then the basketball hoops, that the nets are no good, and we kind of would like to get the metal chain ones to,
Make it a little more ghetto.
yeah, make it more ghetto, and maybe a little bit longer life out of them. There's something, and I mean, I had to scream this 10 million times down at the school. Kids love to jump and hang from hoops. I don't know what it is, but that would prevent that. So, under property maintenance, those were the things. Seal coating the court for 400. We also have, to start clearing our, perimeter, on the other side of the fence is getting overgrown, and so we did check on the amount of footage that we would like to cut is 20 feet back. And we did check to see if that was allowed, because we know we have some DEP, you know, we're protected there. We do have to, this committee needs to know, moving forward, once we do that, the next thing is we do have an agreement, a written agreement with the DEP that we're not meeting our end of the deal, and that is for that pond thing. What's it called? Retention pond is supposed to be dredged every X number of years, and we have not done that.
From what I was told, it's actually supposed to be dredged every 10 years. It's not supposed to have any tree growth around it.
Right.
Which there's tree growth. And then the drainage ditch, that's supposed to be free and clear, and that's not.
So it hasn't been maintained, which, you know, the committee had kind of dwindled for a long time, and now that we're back up and running, we can't put it in the budget for next year, but we definitely need to, you know, really work on coming up with the plan of how we're gonna get back up to where we're supposed to be, and we're not in violation of that agreement, because at the time when the field was put in, the town of Acton had to pay some fines,
So
you
do we-
know,
do
for
we have a-
violating some things, so we don't want that to happen again.
Do we have a cost for clearing that and doing that work?
I just got a ballpark, and forgive me, but did you get a price today or not from, okay. So the ballpark, and like I said, this isn't set in stone, and I apologize, was $3,000 to get the 20 feet in the whole perimeter of the field, cleared and chipped, so that it wasn't, huh?
That's all?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that, it was verbal, so I've got to get something in writing, because I think it sounds low.
And how much did you budget
I
for
did too.
those chain hoops?
The chain hoops, we looked them up, they were $65 for a pair.
Right, and then we
20 feet.
Away.
And then do you have to put like the field mowing and stuff in that?
Yes, so we are going to go out to bid on we're a little like confused, like, okay, does the fire department pay for their own mowing or are they part of the town properties? Well, like, we're kind of confused on why we're different.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
Okay, but either way,
That too.
yeah, either way, if we are different, we would like to, look for an alternate price to see if, I mean, we will budget the 2650, which is what this was this year. But we have asked Robin to give us a price and one other person to give us a price because it's just a couple of times a year of mowing that and it feels abusive. I don't know if it is or not, but it just,
During soccer,
feel-
would you wanna have it done before the soccer games?
yeah, Chris wasn't happy with the service last year.
I just think the price is a little high for mowing, and that's all he's doing is mowing, maybe throwing some fertilizer down here and there, but
Maybe he should be brush hogging around it.
Yeah,
I
something's
think
gotta
I
happen.
think the problem is it might be beyond brush hogging.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
Oh, it's full-grown trees now.
you got like
This is,
10 to
this
20-year-old
stuff has not been,
Yeah.
maintained.
No, this is chainsaw and chipper.
At all.
We're up to that.
I mean, unless
Never
we do
noticed.
Should be maybe mowing the ground.
Something needs
Yeah,
to happen
I
in the
think that's
future.
the
Once it's
plan.
pulled back, mow
So what do
around it,
we
you mean?
budgeted for the
so
mowing?
that, to prevent. it.
2650 is what we paid this year, so I think that's a fair assumption. And then, like I said, we are gonna price shop it and try to get a little bit, either more for our buck or a cheaper, mowing thing. And, we're really gonna, one of the things that last year we had that field day, it would be really super nice, that was the other thing Chris and I talked about on the phone today was, are we gonna shoot to get a couple more of those? Free labor really means a lot, we got,
Difference. It did look a lot better after it was done.
yeah, so I think that we're gonna try to, because we wanna get the well, because we really don't want a huge increase in, I think that is, we were gonna put $3,000 for that clearing. I think CW's right, and maybe we should go with 5, and I don't know, but like I said, that was a verbal price, and it may be, I don't know if it's accurate, and I couldn't get something in writing on this short of notice, so I don't know.
Near 5, just for the fact.
It
You have a question,
I mean,
Dennis?
that's a lot of work for.
is.
Oh,
The perimeter.
There's a few things about, the maintenance up there. Between the, field and 109, there's a few trees that need to be looked at. Some of them pine. I think probably they've got, the pine beetles might have got some of them. So that's gonna be more expensive to take those out than it would be out around the fence.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you gotta cut all the trees out, but they,
Yeah, there are some that are clearly dead.
it's a liability
Like the one that fell.
to take care of. And I would, with that around the fence, I would budget $5,000. Like CW was saying, that stuff to be cut out. And if you don't spend it all, you don't spend it all. Going back,
Yeah.
and the water for $4,000. I've been not pushing, but I've wanted a well up there since they built the field. Well, that's gonna come out of the capital improvement money, and you're not gonna spend it unless you have to. I would jump that price up to $5,000, because, I don't know if you're gonna wanna put some water in the concession stand, for example. Or if you had that extra $1,000, it'll give you a little bit of leeway. And if you end up having to rent one of them mini excavators or something to dig the ditch or whatever you gotta do, it'll give you a little bit of money to play with.
I think the thing with the well is it's an investment in a lot of things, because once we get the well in there, it gives us options for other things we can do in
The
the future.
irrigation,
A
Irrigation,
bathroom.
even having a bathroom.
a bathroom.
There's a,
Bathroom.
That would be nice.
you could have a water fountain too for the kids.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
One of those little push button ones.
it's like,
We built, ball fields down there, the soccer field, the baseball, and softball. And we put a well in there, and the reason why they're as nice shape as they are is because we put irrigation in. And in New guaranteed.
Yeah.
Grass is if you can water.
So what's the recommendation, thinking long-term in the future, when does that go in? What season do you put the irrigation in order for it to be, because we've got baseball and soccer, so,
But you can put it in the spring.
You
okay.
get those chains. that-
Before or after baseball?
Oh, it doesn't matter, you put it in the summer and then it's just all ready to go. And so I would do it after baseball. But, because they don't go around digging ditches.
No, they-
They like
like
feed
little
it through,
trenches.
right?
Push them.
It's like, it's like little holes and they like push it through, right? It's not even digging anything up.
Right.
Acton Elementary School, honestly, is probably the only elementary school around that's got irrigation on the fields, but,
They've got beautiful fields
and it's small money.
in the long run. right?
Well, let's,
What you save in the end, long term.
awesome. Okay, perfect. What else do we have in the budget? Is it? are we-
So that's what I have for the field, you know, for the actual field maintenance, like I said, is the mowing.
So we've got 2650 for the mowing.
Yep,
We're saying 5K now for clearing the perimeter.
yep,
65 for the hoops.
Yeah.
300 for 10 yards of fill.
yep,
400 for the seal coating.
yep.
And are we putting the well into the budget, or is it a different thing?
It's a whole different line item.
Yeah, so that would
It's
go
a whole
on the,
different article.
I'll keep that out of there. Okay, so what's,
And then the two pines to get those looked at and taken
Just a
out.
couple more than two, I would think, 'cause I know what we're talking about.
Go back 20 feet around the
No,
entire
'cause
perimeter.
one tree at my house is $1,000 to
You have
take
to
down.
be-
Now you're messing with power lines and stuff in the road, you're gonna look at $2,000 a tree probably for a tree climber.
The trees we just had taken down on Newbridge was 1,200 to have a crew out there for a day.
Okay.
So is that like a,
town discount.
almost like an, not, I know it's not an hourly job, I get that, but is it that they're gonna go out and be like, oh yeah, it looks like we'll be here all day, $1,500, or are they pricing you per tree? Per day? Okay.
And
They do it both ways.
All right.
They'll do it.
Normally with the town, they go around and get all these trees or whatever they're gonna do around town. And like we said, give so much a day.
So it's usually per day, not per tree?
So we're thinking
'Cause-
a day's
Those
work?
trees
I
that
think-
he's talking
I think
about
a
are
day.
in the protected zone, they're outside that, so there's
And-
no question, we can cut them down.
And
Okay,
we
that was
actually
my question.
probably have to cut them. I don't know as though we have a choice anymore, because
Well,
they're
they're
gonna.
gonna take out a fence or something like
Power
that, or
line,
power
or-
lines, or a car,
So
Yeah.
then, or
we're
kid.
budgeting
A kid.
1,500?
Let's,
If you think
Was it- that was a-
1,200 and
that
he
was a day's
thinks
work.
2,000, split the difference, right? 1,500?
So 1,500, yeah, do we say? Okay.
The other trees that were removed wherever, did they, you mentioned there was some other trees cut somewhere else that price came from?
Newbridge?
Do they, is that a wooded area where they cut the trees and they can leave them, or do they take care of everything?
I think they
Chip everything,
chipped
they
it.
did that for that price?
Often left the dog, so.
They did leave some though, so you wouldn't want,
Like a stump type thing, is that what you mean? They left
No.
the stumps? Oh, the big pieces.
Like 6 foot,
Oh.
6 foot length or
I mean, they
something.
took most of them.
right, because in that area where they're talking about at the field though, they wouldn't be able to leave that stuff, so,
No, they could, it'd just be on the side of the road. You know where the,
yeah.
Somebody would probably stop and pick it up,
Yeah,
honestly.
the buffer between the road, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it kind of would prevent, like a car coming on.
Honestly, if it's
Long
cut
as it-
short
as long
enough,
as it
somebody
can
would
be-
probably
Ice rink, I didn't
stop and
get that
pick it up.
written down.
They won't
I
do
had
that.
600 for the rink expansion,
Uh-huh,
$200 on skates. And then actually, the one item we didn't put in there was the porta potty.
Oh,
okay. That will say another,
10, is that what
well,
we were
yeah,
saying?
6 weeks. I don't think we'll go longer than that.
Yeah, so what do we say, 210?
Okay. So that's 1,010. Okay, so thank you, I didn't get that written down. And then the field maintenance was 9,915. That's the mowing, the hoops, the seal coating the court, the cutting, the perimeter, the two pines, that totaled 9,915. And then the whole, does anybody, Can anybody think of anything that we've missed?
The concessions, I put a little thing.
Okay, yes.
Are they plowing it in the winter now through the town?
Yes.
Yeah,
Believe was the question on the amount of money that was spent, but is it this point forward being plowed
This
out
pound is
without?
being plowed by them.
Yes.
Yep, for no charge.
Okay.
On my road too.
I did for concessions, just a couple things, a hot dog steamer, Mr. Dennis.
How much was that, Bridge?
That was $130.
Especially to keep you happy.
I also thought of a fridge, like that we could have, not a mini fridge, but a fridge that you could have all the time in the snack shack. I looked up last night, and for a cheap one that has actually a freezer and a refrigerator is $300.
Perfect.
And then I saw a popcorn machine. I thought that'd be fun, so we could
Yeah.
sell popcorn and hot dogs. So because they're nice machines, that one's $200, and then the hot dog steamer is $130.
So one of the things too that we were looking forward to the summertime is if we had the hot dog steamer, the popcorn maker, they do have these like the movie projectors where you could do an outdoor movie. They're very popular in Wells and Kennebunk and stuff like that. So we could do that. We could open up the concession stand, show a family movie and make some money and try to make some of the money back on that. I think that's a great idea. And
Drive-in movie?
Kids would love it. We've
What
done
about
it.
a grill?
Oh,
Oh.
a grill, I forgot about that. Yes.
we did get a request for a grill
we
to
did.
have for
We
the
said-
soccer and baseball ceremonies to have that instead of pizza to have a barbecue.
And
I
you
did
could
look
even
that
sell
up, and
burgers.
last night I saw one that for $200 for propane. I mean, we can keep it nice and put it in the shed when we're done with
Yeah.
it, but,
6:30.
so yeah, so things like that, and, I mean, that's money, you're making money too, if you have the movie night, things like that at the field, and more things for the kids to do in the summer.
So that's 830 total, is that right?
Yes. So one of the things that we need to understand about the concession stands, we're going to do things a little differently last year. This year, it was almost if you look at the transactions in the account, there's a lot of things like, oh, we didn't buy coaches gifts for soccer. In basketball, we spent $300 for coaches gifts, but we didn't spend anything on soccer, but we did. It just got paid for out of the concession stand. And so it's a little confusing. So it's hard to get a good gauge of what we made for profit from the concession stand. But in adding up those little things, it looks like we could easily, by the end of baseball, have made $800 on the concession stand. Like, this will
So it
pay for
pretty much
itself.
pays for itself.
It will pay it for itself in a year's time. And then moving forward, it's a great fundraiser that this committee can do for the programs.
I think the popcorn is a that's a great idea.
That is a
'cause
great
you
idea.
can do a lot of it in a hurry, doesn't cost a lot, the cleanup's pretty easy, hot dog
And if
steamer's
we
a
get-
good idea. The
I
fridge ought to
think if
be
it
in
goes
there.
well, particularly through the summer, we could think about, not for this budget and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but even a cotton candy machine.
Yeah.
Going forward, which would-
But if we get a grill, we don't need a hot dog maker.
Well, we would only fire the grill up for parties.
He's not gonna like you over there.
Yeah, we probably will have to,
I prefer a steamed hot dog, I
I've
gotta
been
say.
told there's nothing quite like a steamed hot dog.
Nice steamed red
at least
snapper.
at every meeting, he gets up and requests a hot dog steamer.
Okay,
So that's 830 for concession budget, and
Is that all of our
that's
individualized
everything.
budgets?
Yeah,
so let's just summarize what we have.
okay.
The other thing you need to look at in the concession stand is have some more electrical work done.
Oh,
Yeah, you're definitely
yeah.
gonna have to do something
yeah,
there.
'cause
we
The
have
more
the
you add, the more you're gonna
One
have to do
outlet?
something.
Okay, well,
That's not gonna work.
What's in there, anybody know for a break or anything?
There's one outlet and
So there's a panel that has,
40 or,
there's two,
Actually, another outlet,
what's the service coming into it, any idea?
there should be 100 amp.
They should have put a 100 amp panel.
so there's only two breakers in there, one's for the flagpole and one's for the snack stand.
Yeah, that's plenty. You can run anything.
so we only need to add outlets.
Well, you'd have to
We
add
do,
all that.
because if you're gonna have a
All at the
microwave
same
and a coffee
time?
maker and
Because they're all right there at the same
fridge,
time?
a crock pot, you need more
Did
than,
it?
It's just one outlet.
No, and you can't
yeah.
run a microwave, a fridge and all that.
That's what
on
I'm saying, we
one
need
breaker.
another breaker
They'll
and,
blow it.
outlets, it, you know,
We just gotta add to the panel, that's all. There must be a panel.
there is,
Oh,
there's
well.
a bunch of empty slots.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can open the panel.
So,
Yeah,
so
you
we need
just
to
need
add
to-
breakers
Easy enough.
and add outlets.
10, 12 bucks a piece.
Hey, can I back up for a minute though about that?
Breakers are only like
All this
4,
should be done
3, 4.
out of
They're cheap.
the capital improvement money
That's what I was just gonna say.
you guys had put forward to do the electrical.
We have money left in that.
Make sure, I guess, that it gets done out of that,
Yeah.
or June.
This is the thing, we need to put Chris on it, like, put this in your notes, that we need to get the balance of that electric work done before June
June, otherwise
30th.
it's lost.
Because
Or
we
it
still have the
goes back
money
in.
in
We
there
have the money that was voted by the town of Acton.
to get it done.
We
Somehow
vote,
we got quirky with,
the scheduling got messed up,
well,
but,
not the scheduling, but there was some other quirkiness that went on.
Oh, with the location of it.
Well, and it was, I asked for the polls and everybody okayed it, if you remember. And then all of a sudden, the polls got taken away by somebody in town, up here, so.
it was just a lot of miscommunication.
Well, let's just get it sorted now. So, out of the capital improvement, we're gonna add breakers, we're gonna add the outlets, and this is all before June, right?
Yes,
Okay, also gotta get the 2 poles,
right.
and,
The poles, light poles?
yeah, and the lights for those
Overhead
poles.
lighting, yeah, I
Overhead.
mean,
Now, capital improvement, can some, that well go into?
Yeah, but
add?
that will be
Instead
for
of pulling
the,
from our budget?
yeah, it will be, but that's for the next, that's for the budget
Yeah,
we're
but we
doing
don't
now.
have to add it in the budget,
no.
it goes into the.
Yeah, capital improvement.
So, you're not adding that $4,000 for the well into that, are you?
No, that'll come, it's
That
a
goes
separate
into-
line
goes
item.
into an article.
Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I just don't want it to get added into
Sure.
what we're gonna ask for, that's all.
So what's the,
Okay, so the first thing we have to do before, so that, the total expenses, if you add all that stuff up, is 21,188.75, but you have to deduct what our forecast is for income to
Just one second, I
offset
just
those
wanna-
expenses.
21,000, say it again?
$21,188.75.
okay, so that, I just want to make sure I've got this
So
right, so
then-
that we're all on the same page. That's 4833 for baseball.
Income.
Yep, 4833.75 for baseball.
Okay, I'm just going through each one as I see it.
Soccer's 2,800,
Yep,
basketball's 1,800. The ice rink is 1,010.
I got basketball down as 2100 because you.
It
added
is
in.
2,100, thank you. That number's not right.
Wait, what was that, 1,800 you said?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's 2,100.
Ice rink was one.
Ice rink was 1010.
Yep, field was 99.15.
At 1010.
Yeah,
And the field is 9919.
What's that, sorry?
1.5.
9915.
Sorry, yeah. Couldn't read my writing.
9915.
And then the concessions
The
is
concessions is 830.
at 830.
Now,
Right.
The total is $21,488.75.
Okay. And our projection,
So the projection for the income, if you can project 4 seasons of concessions at, $300 a season, it would be $1,200. Is that a fair? Because you think you bought all your coaches' soccer cards out of concessions. That was 300 probably, because it was 300 for, or 250.
I think we voted, or maybe you voted when I wasn't here, about the gifts for the coaches.
We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, we're going to be encouraging the teams to.
The liaison is gonna really take the lead on that to get with the team parents and be
Sure, and I
like,
think that-
okay, guys, what are we gonna do for your coaches,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think that's a fair thing.
Because
Okay.
the kids do want to do stuff for
And it means, I think it would mean more to get a card signed from your team than
Oh,
a
yeah.
card signed from Acton Rec.
Definitely. Okay, so 1,200 on concessions.
I think it's a fair guess that, we could,
No, I'm talking about
the
projected revenues.
projected revenue, like how much, so what we do, we know what we're gonna spend, now we got a budget on what we think we're going to get in. So we could go, conservative and say 1,000 on concessions, But I think with the new stuff that we're gonna be offering, it might be the cost, like, selling popcorn's a lot cheaper than selling bags of chips, right? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Like,
Oh, do we gotta put into, like, the petty cash of, like, do we have to?
No.
We don't have to put that in? Oh, okay.
Okay, so,
So I am projecting income from baseball and softball registration only to be 1,200. But I am also planning to do a hit-a-thon to raise money at some point during the season.
All
So registration 1,200, and then it would be the first year, so I have no idea what that would bring in for a hit-a-thon. But I would hope it would be more.
Any fundraisers that would be considered a fundraiser, is that correct? So any fundraisers would be part
I don't
of
know
this,
the
is
answer to
correct?
that. If you plan 3 fundraisers a year and you're planning on, you know, making $500 per fundraiser, do you count that as projected income?
I do at the library.
Okay,
Okay.
then yes.
so what should we gauge on that,
I
1,000?
don't even know, because
500?
it would be the first time
I would say
ever
for
doing
something
it.
like, I think in my fundraising experience for Girl Scouts, and granted, it's been a few years, I mean, it can be anywhere from 300 to 1,000. You never know. So
Why
I
don't we go
don't think
low
that
then?
we should, I think we should project low, and then once we've done it for a year,
Sure.
we'll have a better idea. Is I think 500.
Say 500?
I think
Okay.
you can make
If
500.
we have a goal and we let people know what the goal is,
It
It
makes
helps.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be
And I just-
1,700 altogether projected income for.
Yeah, I gotta be honest,
Baseball.
the generosity of this town astounded me when we were fundraising for the trip for the girls.
Odyssey of Mine.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
insane. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe that they raised that much money that quickly.
So I think the goal is to do 1 fundraiser per sports season. I know in basketball, we're gonna do a shoot-a-thon next year. I've already, like, thought about it and researched how they work and stuff. And then I don't know yet what you do for a fundraiser for soccer, but I'll figure one out, you know. Do they do kick-a-thons?
How many you get in the goal?
All right, so I think it's safe to say we
Kick
could
a
do
parent.
fundraising times 3.
Okay.
And I think we could say, our goal is to hit $1,500 for fundraising.
Okay, so we'll just call it fundraising rather
Yeah,
than individual.
versus per sport.
Okay, and so what did you say we would raise?
1,500,
15?
yeah.
Maybe try 1,000 for the first year, just in case you don't get to do one?
Drop it some more?
Or
I don't know, where are we now?
I didn't hear what you just said, I'm sorry.
I said, I assume you're gonna drop the price of registration.
Well, let's have a look what the budget comes out to. So see how much we can drop that. Soccer registration.
Soccer registrations, last year, hold on one second, I'm sorry, I know I have this. Soccer registration last year.
And I think we can up
Soccer
that.
registrations were 730, and I really feel that we're going to grow that program this year.
I think if we get that out earlier before,
Yeah.
because it was done before the break.
Yeah.
If we
So-
get it before the summer break, we can get more.
I think that we could count on $800 for soccer.
Non-certain
Our
mix.
school enrollment is up, our pre-K numbers are up, I think, in the projection.
So you think we could go for 1,000?
Yeah, I know they just got 2 more.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're probably-
I think, no, I don't want to go too far, but if we did 730 last year and we're charging, if we can gain 10 kids, that's, yeah, maybe 1,000. What did you do for baseball?
Let's say 900.
900. Let's say 900 for soccer.
Got into pre-K just
we
recently.
just lost 2, too. We gained 2 and then lost 2.
Soccer, 900,
And basketball,
and basketball would be 1,000.
so what we got there, 19,
Wow.
1900.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Because this year we pulled in like 860 on basketball, and I
was
think it's going to be
baseball?
better next year.
1,200?
Well, what about sponsorship?
Right.
So what's that, 5/8?
We won't count those.
It was, yeah, it's our biggest program, and I'm hoping it'll be a little bigger this
Well, I
year.
already have one company that's willing to sponsor.
I
Is
think
that
we were at
5/8?
50 kids last year, and I'm hoping for 60.
3,
If we do sponsorships, wouldn't that have to go in the projected money that we're making as well?
Oh, okay.
So we gotta kind
oh,
of.
Carol.
I mean, set a goal.
Don't worry, that calculator drives me crazy every day.
Yeah.
To cover the hats.
Millions.
Yeah, really.
So I think we didn't do sponsors this year because there was nobody like No, there was nobody to take the lead
Pushing.
on it, to follow through with, like, when they're giving us money, they weren't getting anything in return.
Yeah.
So it was like, we need to figure out our sponsorship program before we continue to ask people to sponsor us. I think that's a fair assessment.
Absolutely.
But
you.
we could very easily bring in on sponsorships if we got a total, like, 3 per season, let's say, at $250 a sponsor, which is, I think we were $275. So that's $750, $1,500, $2,250. If we did 3 per season at, $250.
I think
If
you could
do
even get
4.
more than 3 per season.
Yeah, so you want to budget 4, so like $1,000, so $3,000 income and sponsorships? Is that something that you all agree?
What happens if we don't meet that?
Nothing, so to,
We're
s-
out- we're out
nothing.
on the budget slightly.
The budget's just going to be off skew, and we're going to be like, okay, we didn't get these sponsors, so now, we got to pinch some money from somewhere, basically. Lisa's not getting a pitching machine or something like that. The committee would decide as a whole, like,
What do we have to
Oh,
cut
we would
out?
have to take something out.
yes.
Yeah.
This is for, so what did you
So
say?
you
what
said
did you say for
3,000 for the year?
If you're thinking you're getting 4 per season, I think that's a pretty high expectation. I think that I would really like to see us only say 3, and if we get 4, that's a bonus. I mean,
No, for-
that's me personally, because I do not want to go into the basketball season and find out I can't get new basketballs because we didn't get sponsors.
Sure.
I
Like-
know for the baseball season that I did the sponsors, I think I got 5,
Thank you.
2
baseball?
T-balls. How many teams did we have? Help me remember, Bridget. We had the 2 T-ball teams, we had the softball team, the volleyball team was part of the sponsor, and we had another team, didn't we?
Thank
Like
you for that.
a junior-ish type team.
For T-ball?
Yeah, like T-ball, but they were coach pitch, they weren't technically T-ball.
first, and then.
Yeah.
We didn't do baseball.
Did we have 5
I don't know, Chris, help me
teams?
remember. We did, I
last season?
think we did 3 T-ball teams, didn't we?
Something like that.
2 or 3.
I think we did 3, and then
Then
we did
softball
softball and
and
volleyball,
volleyball.
because I remember
5.
5 things going on.
T-Bone?
I was running around with 5, yeah.
But you're right, budget for 3.
I don't think we should budget for more than 3, and then if we get more, it's a bonus.
Really just that added extra money.
So
So
that's,
3
Because
would
if our
bring us.
fundraising falls flat, or something
what's
falls
that?
flat.
So that's total revenues of 88?
Oh, no, we
Is that
didn't.
right?
Hold on one second.
Baseball.
So if we do 250
No.
times 3 is 750 times 3 is 2250
Oh,
sponsors.
sorry, 2250 on sponsors.
And did we ever figure out the projected income for all of all registrations?
Yep, that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, okay. Not
1,200
rushing you, I just didn't know if I missed
plus 900
I
plus.
think we got,
So it would be 3,100 from registrations, and then 1,500 from fundraising, and 2,250 from sponsors.
it. Oops.
So we're expecting 6,850. So the way that, so everybody understands, this is how and I'll give this to John after so that he can see it. But the way that the warrant is written, that the town meeting votes on, and it's a lot of, I lost my place, oh, here it is. A lot of lingo, but the thing that people vote on, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate. So that's the number that is the actual money coming from taxes. Last year, it was 12,113. And appropriate up to 16,763. That 16,763 is the total expenses that we are asking to be authorized to spend. So last year, our budget without the income was 16,763. The projected income and sponsors or whatever
was like-
reduced it down to 12,113, and that's what came from taxes. Does anybody have any question about that? Because I know, like, Lori, I know before you had said that you didn't know how that worked. Does that explain it well enough? Okay.
So.
So we would be saying, our warrant article this year would be, whatever the difference is. What's the difference between 21,488.75 minus our projected income of 6,850 is 14,638.75.
I think that's pretty good.
And we're after a no more
And-
than 2% increase, right?
So that is a decrease. Because our total budget last year was 16,763.
So,
And our total budget this year is,
So, right, so it doesn't include our revenues. Our revenues are taken out beforehand, okay.
can you tell me that number one?
oh,
more time?
I'm sorry, you're wrong, I'm wrong, I misspoke, I looked at it wrong, I'm sorry. No, because last year we raised from taxes 12,113,
Yeah,
and
that's
this
what I
year.
thought, yeah.
So what percent is that? I need the calculator for
What
that.
was that number, 14?
12,113
14,638, and we were 12, whatever it was. last year,
divided
so-
by
It's close. It's close.
14,
It can't be
638.75. It is a 0.8, it's not even a 1%.
it's under.
Does that
That's
sound right?
great.
Did
I
that,
think that's great.
so we can say a 1% increase? Will you double check me?
Less than 1% increase, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the figure last year we were asking
The
for?
figure last year from taxes was 12,113. And the figure this year is 14,639, because they won't do change.
Sorry, it was 12,
113.
14,639.
oops, did it the wrong way around, sorry.
That's okay. It gets confusing. Especially this time of night.
I like that, right, it's not a 20% increase.
So while John's,
No, it is.
it is a
Yeah.
0.8%.
No, it's much more than that.
It's 8%.
It's actually like 20% increase, isn't it, of 12,113. 20% increase is 14,553, so it's like a 20% increase. So that is, you were way above where we need to be. We're gonna have to-
2,000?
$2,000 is
Yeah,
a
well,
20% increase?
Of 12, yeah, of 12,000.
10% of 12,000 is 1,200, so
Like
2,400 would be
yeah,
20%.
so it's like 20%. So we're looking to hit a budget of no more than, well, effectively at 2%, 12,300. It's a very small increase.
Okay.
So we've got to shave off this budget somewhere.
Or not.
Wait,
or
2%
not.
only
We
allows
could-
us a
we
couple
could-
of hundred, like $100?
Yep.
We could also defend this budget, because I'm telling you, the townspeople will
$2 for
not
every
bat an
100 that you wanna
eyelash
spend
at
is
it. and,
2%,
I mean,
so-
they'll spend how much
crazy.
for a trailer for the fire department? $20,000 and without batting an eyelash or whatever.
Now-
Like, we could go forward with, I mean, we've expanded our program. We've added a whole skating season that wasn't there the year before. I mean, we have
we're
added a
growing.
lot.
We're growing
We're
all of our
growing, and I
programs.
don't think we should cut anything out of this budget.
Okay, hang on a second.
What was the field, it was consisted of $9,900, almost $10,000?
I'm sorry, what's that?
The field, it was
stopped
almost
right
10.
10, it was right around 10. It was 9,915.
And what is that? That's the field maintenance?
Yep,
A lot of that is made up from the tree removal, and then we have the mowing.
Stuff that wasn't.
What was the maintenance that last year?
Well, hang on, no, because we have, do we have $5,000 in the well in that as well?
no.
Oh, no, it's 5K for the clearing the perimeter, that's what
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
There was hardly any field
Well, that's
maintenance in the
something that
budget for
hasn't
last year, because it has not been kept up on, and
Right,
it's
Just
not
mainly
been done.
the mowing and stuff.
All that's been
I
is
was just making
mowing.
sure the well wasn't in it, that
Yeah.
would drop
So you
that
can-
down.
yeah,
that's
you
what I was
Mowing
saying.
and
justify
fertilizer, that's
just
all
by
it's
that.
been, yeah.
Well, it's
Dennis,
stuff,
Dennis, you have something to,
Yeah, this amount of money that you're talking about, I'm gonna say $22,000. The fundraising is nice, and it's a lot of work, and you might reach your goal, but you might not. And I'm gonna talk as a taxpayer and a member of the Warren Finance Committee both. $22,000 to offer opportunity to the children in this town is nothing. This town is spending over $7 million a year. Okay?
to perspective.
No, you do have to put it in perspective, because $22,000 to service 50, 60, 70 kids year-round and give them some opportunity in this town that they have nothing until they get to a certain age at the school, So that's only a couple of years usually. It's small price to pay to offer to these children. And I'm gonna say it later, so I might as well say it now, to the rec committee. We have a building across the street that we heat and we pay electricity in. The good people of this town gave money to have that building built. It didn't cost the taxpayers a penny. Okay? A lot of hard work for a lot of years. That should be cleaned out, and that should be our, for the children, a rec center. The rec should be operating out of that building. You could, down the road, do whatever you need to do in that building to accommodate not only our young children, but even the teenagers. Because other than out there raising hell or causing problems, they've got nothing to do in this town anymore. There's no jobs left for them. There's nothing for them. So the $22,000 that you guys are asking for, I say, leave it where it is. I got confidence in the people of this town. They will give you what you want. You guys have gone over this stuff. There's plenty of accountability, plenty of explanation why you want this money. And if we come to the point where we can't give $22,000 for 250 kids in this town, then we've got to a point that I don't want to be part of it anymore. And I've been doing this for 45 years.
Okay, I think that kind of puts it into the
That's
perspective.
my opinion, you guys. And now we got the hot dog steam. Your revenues.
It's good, because I was thinking about cutting that first.
I was gonna say, that's the place to go.
All right, so, I
That's
mean,
by him alone will raise the money for
effectively
hot dogs.
then, we're asking, we
Yeah.
got 21,000, but we're only really asking for 14,600. I would say that we,
Yeah, I make a motion to present this.
Hopefully it's enough money.
But the budget, I just lost my page, give me a second.
Hopefully it's
Apparently I was done, I closed my book.
Right.
I make a motion that we put forth the budget of $21,488.75, allowing for $6,850 in income, for a cost of $14,638.75. We're gonna round that up, $14,639 to the taxpayers.
I'd second that motion.
let's, shall we vote on that motion? All those in favor of accepting? Aye. Unanimous. So that motion is passed. Can I just add what we do with the capital investment?
Yeah, we
draws?
need to make a motion to to request the selectmen put forth, I make a motion, I'll do it, to request that the selectmen put forth an article to withdraw $5,000 from the Recreation Department's Capital Improvement Fund for the purpose of installing a well at the rec field.
Okay, we need to vote on that motion. All those in favor? Unanimous, great.
We don't have to do any type of budget for that.
No, because we already have.
I have a proposal
approve it.
already from
So you
Streeter and
just have to
Sons,
come up- Okay.
so I'll put that and,
So we already have the,
Can I ask one question, and it might be really silly? Who writes our warrant articles?
so
The
we
selectmen will do it?
submit, so I'm the treasurer and Chris being the director, so I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna type it up, I'm gonna hand it to Chris. And then we're going to have a joint, well, he's gonna hand it in. All he has to do is hand it in to the selectmen. And then there will be a meeting where the rec committee, Chris will be the spokesperson as the director, but we should, if we could be, all be there to support our budget.
I think it's a good idea
We'll
for
present
the
it
united
to
front.
the warrant and finance committee and the board of selectmen at the same time. It's like a joint thing where he'll get up, he'll go over it, answer questions. You know, we are all invited to speak at that time too. and then they'll make their recommendations, and then it'll go into the town floor. The selectmen write the actual article.
So-
So,
I don't know if it
No,
could be anything that could be brought into next year, if anyone's ever thought of it. Has anyone ever thought about doing any type of swim lessons?
So we used to do a joint venture with Shapley. Shapley actually is blessed with a real town beach. We're not going to Stump Pond for swimming lessons.
Off the foot of the lake?
Well, yeah,
Isn't that technically in Shapley, though?
that is
Oh, is
Shapley,
it?
yeah.
Okay. But when I was a kid, they always did them at Camp Nutter. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
We definitely could explore that and add it, especially if we could make it self-sufficient and didn't have a financial impact to us.
I mean, I've seen a lot of kids in this town that,
Lindsay Senecal is a certified lifeguard, and she does come home to visit a lot in the summer. We might be able to snag her for a couple weeks. We might be able to figure out some swim instructor.
So we're gonna need people to do all these things.
Yeah, you just need somebody to do it, somebody that says, okay, I want a swim program. Like Brian with the wrestling, I want a wrestling program. Okay, go with it. Let us know what we need to do, so same thing with the swim program, right? I mean,
If we use Camp Nutter, I think we'd have to ask the Boy Scouts.
yeah.
Yeah.
To use that. But
But when Cassie went, so we're talking 20 years ago, because she was not in school, Brandy Senecal coordinated it over in Shapley. I don't know the name of that, I think it's Mousom, I don't know. Square Pond.
Yeah.
At the town beach over in Shapley. You go out by Boonies, somewhere up in there, I don't even barely remember. And it was like $20, and it was like 2 weeks or something like that, I can't remember. And they had a lifeguard and a swim instructor, and, yeah, that would be cool.
Okay. So we're going to bring that up at the next meeting, and so that was the budget kind of put to bed. I got these really in the wrong order. I suppose any other business is kind of where we are now. I mean, I suppose the swimming falls into that, to some regard. Obviously, it will be something in summer, so we have a little bit more time on that. But
how do we go by doing something like that if we want to add something, if we don't have it budgeted in, I guess?
So if you wanted it to add it in, you'd have to put it in the budget if it was gonna cost money. If it was the type of deal where you're like, okay, if I could get 100 kids and I could get a lifeguard for $200, if I charge each kid $2, they're paying for the lifeguard and swim instructor, whatever. You could make it self-sufficient, and as long as we're not asking the taxpayers to fund it this year, you could do it this year, or you could add
for
to the
next year.
budget,
we did that karate one year.
Yeah, if you can make it pay for itself, if you can't make it pay for itself, then you gotta research it, and when it's budget time next year, throw it in there.
Right,
Like,
okay.
I wanna add a swim program, this is what it is.
Any of those extra programs that fund themselves, if you will, all covered under one blanket of insurance?
Yes,
Okay.
as long, if it's provided by the Acton
the
Rec,
rec,
it's
okay.
provided, it's covered by the Acton Rec's insurance. So if it was a high-risk activity, let's say, we'll use football for an example, we're not allowed to do football.
I don't think we got time for football, but
Yeah, so the MMA insurance has said we cannot offer football. So let's say, CW comes forward and says, hey, I figured it out, and it would cost X amount of dollars, I want to put it in the budget to do
Yeah, they wouldn't let-
football.
they wouldn't
They
let
wouldn't
us
let us,
play
they'd strike
hockey
it from our
on
budget.
the
Same
rink,
thing
yeah.
with hockey. They won't let us play hockey, offer hockey at a rec level.
we don't have enough help for those things anyways.
You gotta use her own insurance, she had to provide.
Yeah, and that is the other thing, not to lengthen it, is, like Chris just said, if you didn't hear him, is that when we offered karate, that was before my time, the instructor had to provide proof of insurance, and it was covered under her insurance. There
We
is a
were just
workaround for
providing
that.
the space.
Yeah.
Any other business?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Should we just set the date of the next
Oh.
meeting? I think we're already set, but it'll be Monday, the something of February, whatever that is.
Yeah, we've,
It already is next
Oh
week,
my
isn't it?
gosh.
We could, because we did our budget workshop, and we have to go in front of the Warrant and Finance Committee coming up shortly, we could say that this took place of our meeting next week, if all are so inclined. I'm so inclined.
Well, what are we gonna do for February vacations before we adjourn this meeting? Are we gonna offer anything like bowling like we did last year? I mean, it's just a quick call to Owen Martin for bowling.
We absolutely could. It's just promoted, it's not, excuse me, is it that
How
they,
much is that gonna cost?
did they pave the door to the bowling alley?
Yeah, it wasn't,
No, we
it was,
offer
it was
more
just,
stuff that-
we offered the group rate, we kind of
Well,
put
that-
it together and it was just paid for
Right,
individually.
But I was thinking, you know, it's kinda,
Yeah.
we should do something.
Yeah, offer something, set up a day and a time. I mean, that's what I do with Girl Scouts for movies, right?
So-
I just get I reserve the thing and
Yeah.
people just show up and pay.
So when is the February vacation, remind me?
I have no idea.
Third week in
Third,
Now we go, so it's
All of
21st.
us with kids are sitting here like, hmm?
21st to 25th, so we
mine
just
and
pick a
get 'em
day. I think we did it Wednesday last year.
Yeah, it was
21st is
like
a
around
Friday.
11 o'clock.
So shall we say Wednesday 23rd?
It was a Thursday, actually.
Was it?
Isn't it? I think it's 21st is a,
Oh, sorry,
The
21st is a Thursday, I believe.
yeah, I beg
Thursday.
your pardon. I'm looking,
I think it's the 18th, well, yeah,
yeah.
the 18th through the 22nd.
sorry, I had January
'cause
on,
they-
not February. So it's, yeah, the 18th to the 21st. So we would go Wednesday the 20th.
Is our next meeting, is that what we're talking about, or are we still talking?
No, I'm talking about bowling,
Okay.
bowling,
Just
bowling.
to offer something for February vacation.
So Wednesday 20th, bowling.
Chris, will you find out what the cost is and just post it in the group so we all know what it's running people? How much does it cost? I know we're not paying any of
it
it,
was
but we're gonna have to
$8
do a flyer or
including shoes
something.
last year. I think it was $8 including shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we'll do, I
Yeah,
assume
because
we'll
we haven't got a
flyer for
$2
it or
discount,
something.
something like
Did a
that. I think it's
flyer
usually
last year?
10.
Yeah, so Bridget will do a flyer.
Okay.
I can call out one tomorrow, or actually I can stop in on
My
Wednesday.
PA Carrie will do a flyer. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
If they're not booked already, right?
Right.
Oh,
Maybe booked already.
I
oh,
know, I think we did it virtually last minute last time and he was good.
Okay.
Or even open more skating, I don't know, something, one more day.
Okay, so next meeting would be if we're going to skip next Monday, which is the 4th,
You are?
the next one would be, what, the 21st?
Was it
21st is
first?
Friday.
that's a when, what?
Thursday. Be that Thursday, the
doing-
21st. Oh, sorry, is it Wednesday we're doing it? I can't remember what day we said we're doing it.
Yeah, third Wednesdays.
All right, Thursday, Wednesday, so it's
We
the
just went
20th.
through this.
Well, it's the same day as the bowling.
Third? Is that what we decided?
What are you,
20th, February 20th?
is what?
Yeah, next meeting?
Which is the same day as the bowling.
Okay,
That's a
good.
school vacation week?
Yeah,
6, 7 o'clock, or, oh, it has,
it's whenever it's already in the
6:30.
Yeah, wait,
Six.
I don't know.
6:30, Wednesday, 20th February, next meeting.
Again, I might not have it written.
Yeah, 6:30.
Is it
Yeah, it's in the minutes from.
Thank you, Brian.
Last time.
Brilliant, thanks, Ben.
Wednesday?
I'm tired. my
she'll
brain's
have to-
Okay, I
we'll have
make
to let
a,
'em-
Six.
Someone has
My
to-
brain's switched off.
While we're on other
Go on,
business, I
go
just
on.
have like two little things.
go ahead.
Bridget, can you get me baseball registration forms?
Yes, come for you
And
tomorrow.
Chris, can you get this ordered
Yeah.
tomorrow?
Or yes.
So I
Isn't-
can start my
Okay.
clinics
Order
So if
baseball
you
stuff.
place that order tomorrow, when will your clinic start?
as soon as the stuff comes
Did he
in.
give you a lead time?
I didn't speak to him. I just spoke to someone today to find out how we make payment to them. They said they prefer purchase orders.
What are the clinics?
So was this order already put in, Lisa?
No.
No, okay.
He's got a quote.
He's
though,
got
so
the
could
quote, you just have to call and say, this
Quote
is the
reference.
PO number for this quote, and it's ordered.
Yeah, and,
Are we not gonna have the
Derek
softball?
Perkins
It's-
is this the
I
one
know.
you talked to?
yes, and he'll probably know it by my name. I think they look it up by name.
Jen just said tonight that they have to do the order, right?
Who?
What did Jen say tonight about order?
That John has to
Oh,
order.
sorry,
You
John.
gave it to the wrong person.
Sorry.
I'll pass it through.
I just wanna make sure
Yeah, yeah.
that you guys.
Do we want to
can I
knock
see?
out the softball stuff?
Someone's gotta let Jen know, John, you have to let Jen know we won't be here next week then, right? Correct?
Yep.
Yes,
Trust protectors.
that's up to John.
So what are these clinics?
So we can subtract.
Baseball skills clinics that Lisa's reserved the school for 2 days a week, and there's no sign up for them, and you just show up if you want, and they practice throwing, pitching, they're gonna, work on skills because you get such a late start on the baseball year, and it's done in cooperation with Tracy Scully and the athletic department of the school. So it's the school team and the rec kids. It's not a required attendance, but it's like a voluntary thing that they can go. There's going to be people there to work on skills and drills.
Who's paying
Splits the
for it?
cost, or?
There's no
There is
cost.
no cost.
They're just working together. Her,
You're
Oh,
doing the,
okay.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I hadn't heard about it, so.
yeah, we talked about it at like 3 different meetings.
Well, you mentioned it,
mentioned
something
that you
about
might
it,
be
but
Yeah,
doing a
skills
clinic,
and
but
drills.
never talked about what
didn't
it
realize
was.
the details
Yeah.
of it.
yeah. So she's just waiting for that stuff to come in, and as soon as it comes in,
I see.
then they can start, and the school's like, when we starting, when we starting?
Okay, fair enough.
Very much. Okay, guys, I'd like to thank you today because we got an awful lot done in only an hour and a half. Oh, no, 2.5 hours, but it was a hell of a lot to get done.
Was a
so
lot, thank you.
Thank you for just going to make a motion that we adjourn this thing and get out of here.
Yes, I second that.
Okay, so let's get out of here. Thank you.